The scariest thing is that we have to keep watching anime. Welcome back to MALadjusted.
Ooh,
October now.
ooh.
It's October
I'm
already.
putting in like a lightning strike. I'm gonna put in a lightning strike sound effect, and I'm
Wahaha.
gonna overlay it over itself like 30 times, so it's the loudest noise you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
And
So
you're gonna be watching it, listening to it, and you're gonna be wondering what the fuck that sound was, and now you'll know.
a surprise for the viewers.
My little trick.
So good news and bad news. Good news is the season is over. Bad news is there's another one right now.
They just keep making them.
Yeah, they don't give us a break. So
It's like you remember back in like the like 2010s when they would have the Call of Duty producers switch between Infinity Ward and Treyarch.
oh yeah.
It's like that. Except somehow it's the same studios making shit every season.
Yeah, I wonder what Treyarch anime would be like.
Treyarch anime?
Yeah. What's
like
the Call of
Gate.
Duty Black Ops of anime?
Gate.
Nah, it's not
No.
gay. I feel like it's gotta be like, I don't know, this is a really hard
What's the
thing
Modern
to
Warfare
just
2? I was just thinking about denying
the
war crimes.
Modern Warfare 2. I'm just thinking like, because in my mind, Modern Warfare 1 is like the GOAT, the classic. Modern Warfare 2 is like the one that a lot of people believe is the GOAT, and though it's like fine, it's like not actually the GOAT. Black Ops is like some different shit that a lot of people really like, and a lot of people really don't like.
It has its fans.
Yeah. There's parallels to be drawn between Call of Duty
And
Call
anime.
of Duty in the 2010s and anime now.
Yeah. We'll someday figure out what the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare of anime is, but not today.
Yeah, definitely not today. We got to talk about the new season.
Oh yeah. More importantly, we've got to talk about the season that just finished. Although
True.
I finished all the seasonals from this season as of this week, as of today, October 2nd. It seems like, Chris, you have not yet finished.
No, I'm
all
a
of
bad
them.
podcast host. So unfortunately, I watch television with a group of people, and being a bunch of adults with
Mhm.
lives, unfortunately, getting together to watch anime multiple times a week has been really difficult as of recent. So I am tragically, I think we're gonna finish Summertime tonight. And we have one episode left, so I'm almost done. And we can talk about that one a little bit as much as you feel like, because I think a lot of things wrapped up in the penultimate episode. Actually, like there were some plot lines.
Yeah, I can.
so-
I can basically tell you that the penultimate episode is like the climax. Like the final episode is an epilogue. So
That's kind of what I felt like was
Yeah.
leading into.
So it's a good episode, but we can still talk about like kind of how the plot went without
Mhm.
having to cover that episode. So
Cool. That one works out quite nicely.
yeah.
And then as far as the other ones, I did finish Lycoris. That one we can't actually just talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about Lico Rico.
And then I think most of the rest of them that I was watching, there wasn't much overlap in everything else that we were watching, except for Yuri Deco, which I still haven't watched since the last time we recorded, but feel free to tell me what you think about that one.
I can tell you exactly. Let me find what I said, because I left a note on my anime list. Yes, I give it a 5 out of 10.
Oh,
And my note I left is like drinking room temperature water.
Oh,
So it's kind of it has already for the most part left my brain and will most likely not return.
that's a shame. So would you say if I have seen like, I don't know, 4 episodes of this, that I should not get back on the train and
You don't
and
have
finish
to.
it out?
It's not
Okay,
worth
that's
it.
kind of the impression I've been getting slowly over the course of the last like few months while this was airing. Everyone was like, this kind of is bad.
I wouldn't say it's a waste of time, but I would say the amount of time you invest in it is basically identical to the enjoyment you would get out of it. So it ends up being a total wash. It's like the enjoyment you would experience not watching it at all is identical to the experience you would have watching it. So
That is a shame because I liked what it was trying to do at the very beginning. I thought the aesthetic was cool and I thought they were playing around with some cool ideas.
yeah,
Too bad.
disappointing.
Oh well. We can talk about a show that was good if you want to talk about Lycoris for
Yeah,
a
we can
bit
talk
here.
about that.
I keep seeing.
You keep seeing what?
I keep seeing on YouTube. The only thing I see about Licorice Recoil on YouTube is I keep getting recommended one of the like lead voice actresses like apparently did ASMR in character, and I just keep getting recommended those videos, and I can't get rid of them.
That's
But I'm
awesome.
gonna get to that show. One of these
Yeah,
days.
I'd say it's pretty good. It was very enjoyable. It didn't drop the ball. It although that may be controversial to say because some fans seem to believe that it did drop the ball, and some fans are quite mad about something. The fact that the
Uh-oh.
girls did not kiss.
Oh, the
They
classic.
did not. But you can't say that the show does not have canon gay rep because it does.
Yeah.
And it's just not the ones that we wanted.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
But to expand on that a little bit, no, the girls did not kiss. I would say if I had to like rate on the sliding scale from like Hibike Euphonium to Flip Flappers or whatever, like it's in the middle. It was ambiguous, and I think that like it's one of those shows where they I didn't expect them to come out and just be like I love you, let's date or whatever, but I
Mhm.
think that the way this one was framed towards the end, there is plenty of room for interpretation, and I think there a lot of their behavior towards each other was pretty like romantically framed. So I think that you can headcanon your way out of this one pretty comfortably.
Oh yeah, very easily. What's interesting is I read some of like the criticism. I read an article about it, and a lot of fans were very mad about Majima, the villain, and how much prominence he had, and how much screen time he got, like directly alongside Chisato. And I guess they felt threatened by it or something, like in
That's
their
so weird. What a
small
weird
Yuri
take.
fan brains.
He was never framed as a romantic interest. I did see some people like drawing art. There were clearly people that wanted them to be an item, but like
Yeah, like
he's way older. It doesn't that never was a vibe, I think, and so that was always confusing to me.
he's a good like counterpart. He's a good foil.
I think he's a great villain, actually.
Yeah.
And we can get into that a little bit. How did you feel about like the last two or so, like the proper meaty finale of this show and the way it wrapped up its plot line?
It was pretty good for the most part. It was a little bit roller coastery, I guess, in terms of like it kind of like felt like it was ramping down the tension, and then it would ratchet it back up again for a little bit, and then it would ramp it down again, and it you know, that's just one way of doing it, which it was fine. I liked it. It didn't really feel like there was as much of a heavy climax as maybe I was anticipating, but the way that everything resolved made perfect sense for the characters. I think that it kept things open enough to obviously have a sequel if they wanted to, if you know it's successful enough for them to warrant a sequel, which you know I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'd love
I'd
that.
watch a season 2 immediately. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think that for me personally, I really enjoyed the last episode. I think that it really, like, just from the production alone, was incredible, and there were some really good, like, fight moments in the fights and the light. Dude, the lighting in that last episode, because the time's like passing as
It
they're
looked
up
really
in the
good.
tower. It was so pretty. And I also like the episode before when she confronts the businessman dad. That is the kind of the second villain, but and
Mhm.
also sort of the main villain at the same time.
Yeah, he's
That
like
that
the
whole
actual
sequence,
like he's the baddest guy.
yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, he sucks.
So I really liked that episode. I like that entire sequence. I thought it was really well done. I thought it showcased a lot of really good character moments, a lot of great character animation, like of seeing Takina just completely lose her shit and try to kill the dude because she doesn't want Chisato to, die or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I also quite enjoyed the way that they wrapped up that whole plot line because I think you could, for a show to do the whole like, oh, we're gonna threaten that one of our main characters is gonna die, and you have to be like, well, are they gonna commit to it or not? Actually, I had one of my friends that we were watching with this really wanted her to beef it, and I first of all never thought that. I mean, this is obviously spoilers, by the way, for Wade. I don't know if you said you're gonna watch. I don't know how much you care.
You can
It's
plug your
okay.
ears.
You can just run it, dude. I'm not lying to you. I'm in Exard training mode right now.
All right. So I think I never thought that she was going to die, and like on top of that, I find it to be way more interesting in these sort of setups when the character that sort of is grimly accepting of their own death and okay with it in the way that
Mhm.
Chisato seems to be. I think her getting a second lease on life and having to like think about that and move forward is a much more interesting uh way to explore it thematically anyway, which is why I liked how it was handled.
Yeah.
Also, Mika having to execute his ex-boyfriend was brutal. That was awesome. What a good scene.
Like, and also it makes sense for the characters. Like, yeah, Chisato didn't want to have to do what she was assumed to have to do in order to live, but that doesn't mean that she can stop everyone else from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like all these
I
characters have their own, moral compass and their own personal brand of ethics. And like I thought that it was nice of the show to not like it doesn't try to talk down to you about like, oh well, this character has the right moral outlook. It's like it shows characters that have different views on morality and like the way that they choose to operate. Because like obviously, Chisato has her, personal Batman code or whatever. But, Takina works in a totally different way. Mika works in a different way. Walnut works in a different way. Like all the different characters, Majima works in a different way. All the different characters kind of have their unique take on like how they're supposed to solve these problems. And the show doesn't like, you know, treat you like an idiot and like point out, well, this is the right one.
Yeah.
It leaves you to like appreciate the characters for their differences.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole thematic point of the end and her conversation with Majima, and because it doesn't necessarily. I mean, Majima is obviously the villain, and it's the classic like I make good points about society, but I also kill lots of innocent people. So who's to say if I'm really right or not?
Yeah.
Issue, but he's still making salient points. Like the Lycurus organization is clearly fucked up, and same with the boy one that I forget the name. Oh,
Lily
the whole
Bell.
government, Lily, yeah. But I actually really enjoyed my one gripe, my one small gripe for the end of this show. I know it's sequel bait, and I'm like, I get it. If we're gonna have another franchise, why kill a character like Majima? He's so good. I just wanted him to be dead for real. I thought his end, the way he went off at the very end, was really cool. Um, and like it, I just wanted him to stay dead. It would have made for a better conclusion to his character arc. But
Yeah,
oh well.
probably. But I think it's also fine if he
Yeah.
lives. Like, maybe honestly, I'm thinking like maybe they want to keep him around. Like, oh, maybe they try to redeem him in a second season, and like maybe he joins the gang. Like
Yeah.
that would be a little silly, but like it's something that I could see an anime like that doing.
It's clearly what they're setting it up for. But aside from that, I was pretty happy with this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's actually probably low key one of my favorites of the season and the year as well.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the best or second best of this particular season. Right next to Summertime Render, which wait, we can talk about that
Yeah, let's go
because
ahead.
you watched the second to last episode where all like the important stuff happens,
Yes.
and I think that for the most part, I kind of wasn't super in love with like the like final fight uh in like the weird like other dimension or whatever.
Yeah, it got a little. I never. I had one of the friends that I was watching with was also pretty disconnected with it. For me, it never broke its own internal logic to an extent that it completely took me out of it. But it
Mm-hmm.
was very silly. Like, but they're in the fuck dimension, and there's no rules in the fuck dimension, so I can kind of hand wave when the like shotgun is alive and floats by itself into his hand or what. The more silly, because like they basically wrote themselves into a corner by making Shide the villain like really powerful, and so they kind of have to get a little tricksy with it for a way to kill him that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was still entertaining and
It
enjoyable
wasn't
for the most
egregious.
part.
It was just like a little sloppy compared to the rest of the series, which is, fine. It's not a grievous sin to be a little bit sloppy in your final fight.
It is just like the mechanics of the fight. I don't think it really affects the overall macro plot or the characters at all. So that's
Yeah.
nice too.
It also like, I don't know. I didn't love that it isolated Haine, Ushio, and Shinpei. Like it kind of like everyone else kind of like fell to the wayside in the final fight because they like, oh, only we're going to like the final fight, which I guess it is hard to juggle all the other side characters.
Yeah.
But it just felt like they didn't get as much of a chance to really shine.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I got baited by this one too. You know why?
Why?
I
Why?
thought that I don't even remember her name, but like So, his sister.
Yeah.
I thought the whole time the show was playing up that she was in love with Mio and that she was going to like be like make a move on her, and it just didn't. Maybe I was making it up in my head the whole time and I'm just a Yuri brain moron, but I
Wait,
thought
sorry.
it was
You mean Tokiko, the redhead
Yeah, Tokiko.
girl?
I thought
Oh no, sorry. No, I didn't see that at all.
you did. I'm
No,
such
I
a
think
fool.
that was not her art. I don't think she was a little bit too mired in like being bad, like evil, and then converting back to the good side to have a. I never really saw her as having any sort of romance arc. I think that Mio and it's very. I don't know how it wraps up, but like obviously Mio's into Shinpei, and then the other friend So is into Mio. I always thought that they were gonna pair them up by the end because So's a good boy and he deserves it. But we'll see.
I understand that he is a good boy and he deserves something, but I also thought it would be really funny if his
It
crush got
would.
stolen by his sister.
That would actually be pretty based. So we can head over to AO3.net and see how that plays out.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm sure it's there.
I'm sure other people saw it. If I saw it, and please tell me
Yeah.
I'm not that far gone. I'm not that much of a Yuri
I don't think
brain.
it's like I don't think it's out of the question. I see it. I get the vibe. But we'll have to see. Yeah, I think that the way this wrapped up, at least at this part, was really interesting. I thought that the animation of Shide's like actual final death was very cool, very harrowing.
It was cool.
And which made it satisfying after everything. The visuals in this whole end sequence have been really good.
Mhm.
And I am curious as to see, and I know this is where it comes in. I am curious to see how it wraps up because at this point I'm not really sure if what was done by the very end when they go back and encounter the whale. Like is it one of these situations where by telling the past Heine, do we just kind of eliminate the whole timeline? So Izushio never died, but then he's back on the boat again, so that implies that he's going to her funeral. Or like, is this one last final golden loop? I don't know. I'm very, it's very up in the air for me right now. But as far as like them beating the boss, like I don't think they're gonna fight anymore. They're clearly done with that.
Yeah.
So that's my speculation. Maybe we can come back to it.
We can
episode.
bring it up next time if you just want to stop there and just give your impressions of the epilogue.
It's I do feel bad. I really tried.
I will say that in terms of if I'm gonna recommend somebody like an anime with like time travel or time looping as a central plot theme, I'm gonna suggest this instead of Steins Gate to people now.
I think I agree. As much as I like Steins Gate, I think that this is more approachable, and I think it's a little bit tighter in some ways.
It's
Um,
just cleaner. It makes more sense immediately. It has more like it doesn't have as much like obscure chuny
yeah,
reference
you have to kind of
humor
be
to
in the
it.
sauce.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just a good story.
I like the cast too. I think
Yeah.
on average, I like the cast more of this one than Steins Gate, though there are some very good characters in Steins Gate.
Yeah, there's also no weird pervert not
Yeah,
as many weird pervert moments in this.
yeah. This one is pretty normal for anime standards. We love that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other shows from this season that I like finished that we didn't talk about. No, because I didn't finish Made in Abyss either. Though we watched a little bit of that last night, and we're getting really into the finale here. And I can just go ahead and say that you should, continuing to recommend that you check it out. Season 2, it's been
All right.
incredible.
All right.
Like it's
I'll
gonna
have to watch
probably
the
be like
movie
top 3.
first,
Yeah, that was
like-
which was also really good too, for the record. But season 2 is better than the movie. Season 2, I think, has been the best this franchise has been so far.
Okay.
It has been, I would say, especially in the back half, very consistently moving, which is not something that I can say about lots of anime, honestly. But it's like, I would say, quite affecting media. So, I'll try to come back to that with my full take when we're done. But we have like, I think, they did the thing where the last episode is 45 minutes, so I have like technically 3 episodes of that left. But yeah, I think that's about it for last season, right? Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I have to follow up on Overlord.
Oh yeah, Overlord
Oh
update
yeah,
time.
Overlord.
Yeah, everyone don't forget. No, the show's
Ugh.
bad. The show is not good at all. It's I finally narrowed down like my chief complaint with it, and my primary gripe is that the show just has no idea what kind of like story it wants to tell and like how it wants to portray its characters, because there is exactly one character in the show that they get right and that they like portray appropriately and that it makes sense for, and that is the character of the princess of the human kingdom. She's a villain. She's a bad person. She's like, she's obsessed with one thing and one thing only, and that's like uh, creating her perfect like life with her favorite, young knight who is just completely oblivious that he's being manipulated by her, and like she treats him like a weird pet and wants to be with him forever, and so she like betrays her kingdom for the for the protagonist, for Ainz. And it makes sense, and she makes sense as a character. She's like a bad guy. The season ends with her singing a song. She breaks into song because she's so excited that she's going to sexually assault her like pet boy. Like that's how it ends.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's and she's like the only character that they get across like appropriately, that like this is an unhinged insane person who's doing evil things, and everyone else it just flip-flops. It doesn't commit to like, because I figured this out because I talked to somebody who has read the original source material, the light novels, and they tell me that it is much more clear in the source material that the protagonist is a bad guy. Like he's like a selfish, self-centered bad guy who is protecting his own interests to the detriment of everybody, around him, like everyone in the rest of this fantasy world. And the show just does a incredibly poor job of getting that across. It just doesn't commit to making him bad. Like it still
Yeah.
tries to like, oh, but here's his perspective. He's trying to protect the people he cares about. No, it's just like it just, I don't know, make him a bad guy. Like I've been watching Better Call Saul with Wade. I know what making a bad guy looks like.
They just need to take advice from Better Call Saul.
Yeah,
and
they need to
Breaking
watch a
Bad.
Vince Gilligan show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're done.
Yeah.
At least there will be no more Overlord for the time being.
Yeah.
For the time being. I hope they don't make another season because I will have to watch it. Yeah.
I feel I would take the bet that they will.
Yeah, I would take the bet that they make way more.
There's
pretty
just
popular franchise.
There's just a few anime series that I have to watch because they're bad. And I think it's actually only 2 right now. It's ReZero and Overlord.
Well, I have great news about ReZero, which is at the current pace we're at, we're not getting another season until like 2026 or some shit like that.
Yes.
Nice.
So
it's a
great
big win
news
for us.
It's a huge win.
Overlord's nice for me because Myth and Royd usually make a pretty cool song for each new season, and that's really my connection with that franchise right now.
Hey, you know what? Good for you.
Yeah. All right. What?
I gave my Ruby rap last week.
Yeah, you did.
There was one last episode, but it was literally just a reanimation of the opening episode of Normal Ruby Season 2 with like just a little bit more satisfying of like an end cap put on it, like all the setup for the next events get put into place. And I gave basically everything I wanted to say last episode, but that show is over now. And the last episode was, did not add anything new to ruin the show.
Hey, that's good news.
Still solid, still recommended.
Yeah, still recommended if you have ever looked at Ruby and been like, yeah, this looks kind of cool, but like I kind of wish that
it didn't look like that.
Not even that, just if you kind of wish that people who knew what they were doing were in charge,
Competent television
because
makers.
I think Ruby isn't like its peak isn't like very high, but I guess its consistency isn't very high. It has high highs and low lows, like no matter how you do it. Like I don't think you can make Ruby like a 10 out of 10 show without significantly altering like what's there and world concepts and things like that. But for what it is, as like, a retelling of the first season to solidify the world, the characters and all that, it is like as perfect as you can get that. And for that reason, I think it's a big recommend for anyone who's looked at it and be like, maybe.
All right. If you're a prospective Ruby fan, you think you might like it, just watch the anime version.
Yeah. And then go to Volume 2, All Fights, watch that, then just drop it and never think about it.
Forever.
Yeah, unless Shaft gets a second season, which I don't think they ever will.
Yeah,
Good
probably
strategy.
not.
Yeah, it's the recommended way to be a Ruby fan.
That's the Wade watching order.
It is the Wade watch order. Watch anime, go YouTube, look up Volume 2 fight scenes, done. You've experienced it all.
Yeah, you're a top tier Ruby fan at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, raise your hands if you have watched anything from this new season that's starting now.
No, I have not started anything yet.
I have. What's even like out? Is there anything good
A
out?
bunch of stuff. Spy Family's back.
Spy Family Part 2 has had its first episode.
Oh, great. My Hero Academia Season 6 has had its first episode.
The Master Has No Tail Rakugo show is out. Then a bunch of shit. Let me think. Is there anything else? Raven of the Inner Palace looks interesting. Oh, Pop Team came out? Shit. And the Mobile Suit Gundam first episode, which I've actually heard a lot about.
First 2 episodes, actually.
Okay, cool.
Which I can say a little bit about it because I have watched I've watched a couple of episodes of the new season. I've watched the first episode of Spy Family Part 2. It's more Spy Family. You know, if you watch the first part, you'll like it. They introduce the dog in this one.
Yes. I'm so excited about that.
The first episode of My Master Has No Tail. I watched that, and I am hoping that it's going to be a good show, because I think the way that it chooses to like phrase certain things is interesting to me. Like I guess the philosophy the show has is that like uh it uses the word like trick in a funny way, I think, because the
Like Joker's
protagonist
trick?
the protagonist is a tanuki who goes to
Oh.
Osaka because that's the city where her father spent most of his time. And so she's warned not to try to trick humans, because this is the Taisho era now. You know, our old tricks don't work on them anymore. And so she, you know, ignores that advice, and she tries a bunch of classic Tanuki gags. Like, you know, she tries to pretend to have a bunch of money by, you know, uh, transforming leaves into fake bills, and she gets caught. And like, she tries to, you know, do classic transform into classic yokai, and it doesn't work because of modern technology or whatever. And she gets down on her luck, but then she runs into she by chance experiences a rakugo show, and she's enthralled by the way that the rakugoka is able to trick the audience, which I'm guessing like the way they're using the term trick here is kind of like a very broad term, kind of like the suspension of disbelief, I guess, like just sort of inherently the concept of believing it or buying into something that is not true is, I guess, how they're choosing to use the term trick, which I think is kind of an interesting way to think about it. Because, like, I guess, like, you know, telling fiction is kind of a trick in that you're getting somebody to care about a story that isn't real, you know? And so she decides that she's going to learn how to do Rakugo. And that's like a broad summary of the first episode.
This is a wait ass show. I'm watching this.
All right.
My friend who does who he has this thing where he goes through and everything from the new season that was a manga adaptation, he'll read at least a chapter or two of the manga, and said that this is one of his favorites. So I am definitely, this is on my radar, and I'm gonna check it out. I like the art style. It seems
Yeah.
cute.
I think it obviously, like, in my brain, the first comparison is like Uchoten Kazoku, the eccentric family.
Yeah.
Which also has it's also a story about Tanuki in a relatively modern, although Uchoten Kazoku is much more modern than this show, because this show's the Taisho era, which is like, it looks like 1920s thereabouts. But yeah, it's like a funny Tanuki story, and it's predominantly based around comedy. And so a show that's about being funny should hopefully be funny, I think.
Yeah, with any luck.
Yeah.
Let's hope. All right. I
We
think
got a lot of the big boys coming up like
We
soon.
do.
Though quickly before we do that, can I confirm that everyone else is like seeing the same thing that I'm seeing about this isekai where a guy is reincarnated as a sword?
Oh yeah,
What's-
it's
what
one of
the
the
fuck's
biggest
that
shows.
about?
One of the biggest shows this season that's coming out.
What do you mean he's just a sword?
He's a sword, and and don't worry, did you know that in an isekai anime there's slavery? Because it's in every
Yes!
single one of these fucking shows. So if she's like some slave cat girl, which is I think not
But
the
she's, like-
first one of those that's been in anime recently too. Love that.
Yeah, but she must be like Beast with like a sword, and
Yeah.
he must like own her despite being a sword.
I think she just
Dude,
finds
this
him
show
and they
has already
like
written
team
itself
up.
in my mind.
I love this isekai trope of like our protagonist acquires a slave woman.
Yeah, it's that, and our protagonist has gotten like his beginner bonus, and it is like something completely absurd that no human being has ever thought of before, because why would you? Like, we were pushing it when people were like, I reincarnated into the world as like a slime. Like, that was pushing it. But bro is a sword. What?
Yeah,
you can't. It's
He's got like
be
a little face.
person.
He can talk. And
Oh,
shit.
he's got a face. All right, that
Yeah,
kind of
he's got a little
things.
face. He's
I
not
don't
like a
know.
literal inanimate object. It's like a magic enchanted sword
but
that
that's
can
fucked
talk.
up.
Oh,
It
so
would
he's
be
like
way cooler if he
a
was a
Banjo
sword.
Kazooie character. Like,
Yes.
He's just in the backpack.
Um,
Man, I can't wait to not watch that and
I have
talk
no
about it
interest
like
in the
I've watched
show.
the whole thing and be
Oh, yeah.
right still.
I mean, you can already tell every single thing that's going to happen in that show, bro.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
calculated everything that happens in the show.
Yeah.
I'll give them credit for at least being moderately novel. Because it's the sliding scale of like slime to spider to sword. So that's nice, I guess, and the sort of accelerationist like USSR weapons rush development of what we can get is the most insane thing to happen in these shows.
Yeah, in
but I
another
will not be
world
watching
as
this.
a stone. Like,
I think the time Isekai broke me was there was a manga. I think it's like still really big, and it was called like right when it started. It was like My Farming Life in Another World, and like all the image like material that was like about it that was used to like promote it was basically just like a dude just farming, and I'm like, this seems tight. And then like if you look up like the most recent chapter covers, it's like this dude on farmland with like 8,000 anime women
Yeah.
who he is all like impregnated, and I'm just like, man,
Nice.
Oh, cool.
nice.
There's another farming isekai this season too. I believe it is the third farming isekai to air in 2022. For the record. Yep. Mhm. There are two about beast tame. Or well, no, one's a monster hunter harem, and the other one is a beast tamer harem.
man,
But they're both harems. The monster hunter harem looks like you should go to jail if you watch it. Tier. There's like a bunch
Oh,
of
is it
lollies.
Futoku no Guild?
Yeah.
one
Yeah, I
moment.
see that right here.
That one. I sure
Oh,
love
the
anime.
tags on AnyChart are action,
Oh, there
comedy,
are
and
alarms
ecchi.
going off.
Mm-hmm.
I like this woman with plate mail that like conforms to the shape of her breasts. That's
Her
always
gigantic knockers, yeah.
Oh
love
yeah,
that
they're-
one.
But is there
Jesus.
one that looks like a child?
Yes, there's more
judging
than
from
one.
this,
I
there's
believe
a lot of most
Yeah.
of them. It's the rule and
Ah.
not the exception.
Mhm,
Interesting.
mhm.
Oh,
So
yep. They're even Twin Tails. Yep. Twin Tails
You gotta
character
hit all
that
the
looks like a
points.
child. You already know.
It's crazy how much merch that show's gonna sell.
Oh yeah.
They hit all the points. They calculated it.
But getting away from that for a moment, can I talk about something good for a second?
yes, please.
Please do.
Save
So
us.
I did watch the first two episodes because there's an episode 0 and episode 1 of Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. And this is admittedly, I'm going to, confess, this is the first Mobile Suit Gundam television series that I have ever watched. I have only ever consumed Gundam media by like osmosis, and one time I did watch the Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt movies. So I think it was December Sky and something else. But regardless, I watched the first 2 episodes of this show, and it's very cool. I think the particular brand of like sci-fi aesthetic that Gundam has is pretty nice because it leans a little bit more hard sci-fi than science fantasy, and I like that. But it still kind of has a sort of playful adventurousness to it, where it doesn't have to be so bogged down in like techno babble gobbledygook, and you can have like anime moments. But most importantly, upon watching episode 1, it seems as though this series is in fact Revolutionary Girl Utena, but with mobile suits.
Yes,
Huh?
I got spoiled on this on Twitter today, which unfortunately, because I'm predictable, means that I was probably going to watch this already, but now I'm definitely going to watch this.
Yeah. The plot of the first episode, and I'm not saying this is spoilers because this is the first episode. The plot of the first episode has our protagonist transfer to a new school that has a rule where conflicts are decided by duels, and she runs into a mysterious female student who has troubles with an overbearing male student whom she is betrothed to, and they duel, and she wins the duel and is now engaged to this female student.
Well, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they made the same show.
It's the same
But
show.
there's robots.
But there's robots.
There's big robots.
That's like the only thing they could have done to improve on the original concept.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm a fan.
Future looks bright for anime.
Mhm.
We have 2 certified hood classics coming in. And like a couple days we're getting both Chainsaw Man and Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
Like a couple days apart.
As much as I kind of like in my heart feel a twang of guilt that the things I'm most excited for are predominantly sequels and franchises, there's some good sequels.
Well,
and
yeah, but
franchises.
they're like some of the goats of like things that I can think of that are actively running, or at the very least,
yeah.
you know, have been running for a little while. Like these are the things that, if you were to make me pick like manga that's currently going to like get adapted, like a million fucking titles before I pick like my dress up darling, I'm picking like Chainsaw Man. Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much
Just-
heat in one
yeah,
season
too
is a
much
good
heat.
problem to have.
Yeah, it's good.
And-
Like, you know, I'm fine if there's not like a banger original, because you got some good adaptations, hopefully.
Yeah.
There are even some good ones. I think since I haven't actually started any of these shows yet, I'm gonna shotgun real quick and just read through what I'm watching, or what I plan on at least
Yeah, run
checking
it.
out this season. It's a lot of shows, so I'll try to make this fast. So like obviously Chainsaw Man, Spy Family season 2, and Mob. Famitsu, To Your Eternity season 2. Watching that. The Urusei Yatsura remake, definitely gonna check that out. That's this
Yeah.
season. Iruma-kun, Mashimita Iruma-kun. I think I talked about that one on this one before, maybe.
Mhm.
That one's getting a season 3. That's actually one I'm looking forward to the most, because that
I've heard it's
show
good.
fucking
I've heard
rules.
people like it.
Pop Team Epic season 2 is, I think, like episode 1 is out on that
Yeah,
one.
I think it is.
And think that's it for the sequels. Okay, as far as the new stuff, there is a show called Bochi the Rock. It is a manga adaptation. I think on first blush, people are going to think it is a K-On! knockoff.
We
'cause
watched
it's
the
a
trailer.
We
Me and
watched
Wade
that,
watched
said
the
the same
trailer. And we
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We
where have I heard this
definitely-
concept?
I think it is going to it is a little bit both. I think a little bit more like meant to be a comedy, and then also I think it will be a little bit more dramatic than K-On! Too. I think it's going for more of a dramatic angle overall.
Is he?
This one I've heard very good things about the manga, so I'm
Okay.
excited.
Okay.
And it's Cloverworks, so
Cannot
it's like
say
a
the
pretty
same thing about
decent
the K-On!
studio.
manga.
We'll see about that one, but I think that this one looks pretty cool. What else?
Oh, do it
Then-
yourself.
Yes,
Do it
that is
yourself.
one.
Yeah,
that's on my
one I had
list.
my eyes on for a little while.
I like this director, and Pine Jam has mostly made some pretty cool shows, and I like the art style a lot. So I'm definitely checking that
I'm
one
like very, very okay with this new genre of Yuru camp, but what if instead it was camping? It was like any extremely mundane thing.
out. Yeah, and
It's like hard to not just be like something I can turn on and like just enjoy. It's not like offensive to my intelligence like a lot of the turn your brain off shows are. It's not nasty or disgusting. It's just
Yeah.
sort of chill.
I want to see him make a chair.
Yeah.
This director made Kageki Shoujo, which is another show from earlier this year, or no, last year rather, that I really liked. I thought, which by the way, if y'all haven't seen that, you should watch that. And so I'm excited to see where this one goes. Also Pine Jam. Anyway, what else? Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this one. There's this show called Akiba Maid Senso. If you want to find it on the list, I will admit I gave this one the cursory glance and then was like, no fucking way. Because you read the synopsis, right, and you're like, this looks like some shit. Some like
No, yeah,
weird
we looked
maid
at
fetish.
this.
And then you see like the panda crawling out of the burning building in the corner there, and you're like, well, hold on. So yeah, I watched the PV for this one.
Yeah, we did too.
I have I have no fucking idea what this show is going to be about. And the fact that it's like an original from PA Works is actually a decent sign that there might be more to meets the eye on this one. I am very interested as to what this is going to be about.
I mean, it was an adaptation in fairness, but the same director did Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah. That's the other thing. So he's like clearly like done
I
some
feel
big name
like
stuff.
that is a really, really, really good show.
The movie especially, which he also did,
especially
I thought
is amazing.
was excellent. He also did Hitsugi no Chaika, which is a personal favorite of mine. I don't think people watch that show. So I'm down.
About this Akiba Maid show, I do like that it takes place in 1999, which I think is a funny period to place your show in.
It is. It's interesting.
Just turn of the millennium, you know?
And so I'm definitely checking that out. I'm watching Soccer Fortnite. Y'all know about Soccer Fortnite?
Excuse me?
I don't know how...
That a custom game mode or like...
No. Have you... No. I don't know how much y'all watch sports anime. There's a really very hyped show called Blue Lock this season.
Oh, I've heard of Blue Lock. Okay.
Yeah. So it's I thought it was just like another normal soccer show. It's not. In order to make the best soccer team, the Japanese Football Association has created Soccer Fortnite. It is a giant facility, a prison-like facility where 300 talented strikers from high schools are pitted against each other. And so it's a battle royale soccer. They don't die, I don't think, but it's like basically if you lose, you're out. So you're basically dead. You know what I mean?
Can they do dances on each other?
Can they emo?
So.
Oh, looping us back around to Bunny Girl just for 1 second. I learned just now by checking what the Maid anime director has done that 4 days ago or so, a new Bunny Girl Senpai project.
Oh yeah, season 2 got announced. Yeah,
season 2, and it's going to be about the main character's sister.
Yeah,
I thought the story was done.
Well, it's
it is, but I feel like they're doing like the Haruhi thing where they just keep doing shit like in the same universe.
All right. Give it a go, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the sister character. I like that, like, despite at first blush being like sort of the lolicon, like incest bait character, she very quickly became like a character who was given a fair amount of attention and care, and like how her story would progress. And that was like that happened to honestly like every character. And I think that alone is insane. Like I've been saying forever, like since that show started airing, that watching that show made me feel what I believe most people are feeling when they watch Monogatari. Because I feel like it's a very similar show.
We're
like,
beefing.
One show is trash, and the other one is
No. We don't have to get into this. I think that the reason I didn't love, but I thought Bunny Girl was solid. I think the movie is a lot better than the show.
I'd also agree with that.
I think that parts of the show are really strong and other parts are a little bit weaker. But I feel like Bunny Girl is trying very, very hard to be like a mishmash of Haruhi and Monogatari, and I don't think it really ever gets to the heights either of those shows do. That's always been my take on it, but
unfortunately, Chris, you're outnumbered on this podcast.
I know y'all are haters.
Outnumbered with Monogatari.
The thing is, I think Wade is less of a hater than me because I can't finish that series. I can't finish it.
Yams has tried. I think you said you've tried it like a couple times.
I've tried several times. I've gotten like
the first
6
season.
episodes in like every time, and then I'm just like, I don't care about. Because, like, I think as a character, I hate Araragi. I can't stand him. I think he's miserable.
Actually goated. He's goated, and it takes. And I think that, but if you're gonna that's gonna be your takeaway, that you will probably never be able to get into it. I think it's fine. By the way, I think Monogatari is one of the less approachable shows that is out there.
I think I should have watched it when I was 14. If I should have watched it when I was a teenager, because I would have thought it banged.
Because I feel the same way. Because when I look at Monogatari, it's like a lot of the stuff is like framed in these very like, I guess for lack of a better term, pretentious like way, and it's still done like, in a way that's not just like we're being pretentious solely for the sake of it. But I still could never shake the feeling that that's what was going on. Like at least a little bit. Like it was just a little too indulgent, just a little bit too like, what if girls sex? What if sex like was just on screen too much? And I'm just like, I feel like if I was 14, like, you know, same boat with Fully Cooley, like I'd be on it. But I hit it around like 16 or so, and unlike Yams, I think I do at least have like some good things I can say about that show. I still think that because I watched the first season, then I went into Kizu after like laboriously searching for watch orders.
That's a fine way to do it, honestly.
And so I went into Kizu, and I still think that those 3 movies are some of the best looking anime ever produced. They look so insane.
I did watch all the
so
Kizumonogatari movies, and I agree, they look fantastic. And for the most part, I fully accept that my inability to penetrate the Monogatari series is a matter of my own personal taste and my own, like, it's my fault, because it's not Nisio Isin's fault, because I watched Katanagatari and I loved that show. That show is great. And it's written by the same guy. But, you know, the Monogatari series, I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm never going to begrudge anyone for not being able to get into that series. I think that the secret about Monogatari is that, like, even if you think the visuals are a little over the top and pretentious, which I can see that, I think that they're justified within the what it's doing. The real charm of the Monogatari series is the character writing, and you do have to get a little. It takes time with the characters to get to a lot of the points that I think are what elevates it to be one of my personal favorites. Like a lot of the best moments are in the end of Nisei and then second season. I still love the end of Bake, which you didn't get to. The last couple of episodes of Bake are fucking phenomenal. You have, like, Monogatari has a lot of distracting, and this is done, I think, intentionally, a lot of very distracting elements. It's very over the top in ways that are, it's so hard, like, that kind of can take away what from the real meat of what is trying to be said. But when they get to the meat, it's extremely well done. And so Aragi's a really well written character. He just comes off as a badly written one if you try to focus in on all the bullshit that happens in some of the early seasons.
I think it's less of that. I think I've learned that Yams has a low tolerance for characters that he just thinks are fucking annoying.
I can see that too. He gets better as the series goes on. I think personally.
I watched the Kizu movies, and by the end of the last Kizu movie, I was fuming. I was raging at his decisions at the end of that third movie. I'm like, why did you do that?
He's a moron. He gets, like, that is also the very beginning of the franchise.
I know.
So he's got a lot to go.
Prequel, and it like sets him up, but it's like, I'm supposed to like this guy? Like,
but yeah,
it's my fault. You know, eventually, maybe I understand everything you're saying, Chris, about like the
it's all good.
It's like it's not like a style over substance thing. The style is the substance, and I understand that. And like, I've watched Kunihiko Ikuhara shows. I understand style being substance, and like having over the top ridiculous things be meaningful. But yeah, I mean, eventually, maybe one day I'll get back to it, and who knows, maybe I'll eventually like it someday.
There's still hope. Yeah. Anyway, we're way off track. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else interesting for the new season I wanted to talk about. There is the
Pui Pui Molcar Driving School.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
The long-awaited sequel.
No, not really. There's like this Madhouse one called Mushi Kabare Hime that's like the most shoujo shit of all time. I might check that one out.
I also considered checking that out because, like, maybe it'll be good.
And then Romantic Killer, which I really like the trailer of, which I can summarize if y'all have never heard of it. You're gonna have to scroll to find it. It's in the O&A section. It is a girl, a gamer girl. She only cares about games. No, she gets this weird fucking fucked up little sprite fairy comes out of her game console and then sucks her into an otome game with a bunch
I
of
would
boys.
hate if that happened to me.
And
I would be cross.
The premise seems generic, but the trailer is actually genuinely pretty funny, and in the execution, like I like all the character animation. It's very like tongue in cheek and over the top, and so it's basically she gets sucked into an otome game. But I think it's not like she has to play along. I think she's like it's called Romantic Killer, so I think she's trying to like flip the script and go against the grain here. But it's an interesting enough of a premise, and also I'm just curious. That sprite thing looks like a fucked up creature, and I just want to see what it gets up to.
I watched the PV for this one actually, and yeah, I agree, Chris. It looks like it might be funny. It seems like it could also be extremely generic.
Yeah.
But you know, her whole thing is she's like rebelling against the like romance tropes or whatever. Which who knows? It could be well executed, it could not be well executed. Coin flip.
Yeah.
I'll report back.
Speaking of,
yeah.
Not this isn't even a coin flip. Fuck, his name just slipped me. The Final Fantasy illustrator guy, his Netflix show.
Amano.
What's his fucking name? Yeah, Amano. Yoshitaka Amano. He's got a Netflix like show that he's doing like a bunch of like art direction. I'm not sure if he's doing proper direction, but it is a 3D CG show and maybe one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, Chris,
it is so tragic.
What's it called?
It's called Exception.
It's called like yeah.
I'm gonna actually link the trailer in the chat here, Chris. And I want you to
let's get a live reaction on this.
we need a live react. So Chris,
because it'll be visceral.
Yeah,
like,
can you please
what.
watch this?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's something, all right. Character design by Yoshitaka Amano.
Yeah, that's wow. Oh my god, what the fuck?
They all look
it
like
hits you like a truck, and it doesn't ever get better.
I can't believe they look like that.
It's so unreal.
What on earth?
It's so funny.
I guess they look a little bit better moving around, but damn, those are some terrible fucking character designs.
It's so bad.
Well, oh man, this is
dude. He's so washed. He's so washed.
No, he's not even. I think it's just like. Because I have friends, you know, who are still on the Final Fantasy XIV wagon, and I actually broke the news to one of them yesterday, and they're always pogging over like, yo, new like Final Fantasy XIV raid just got a new Yoshitaka Amano key visual, and they post it, and I'm like, damn, this is good shit. Like, he still got sauce, but I don't know, dude.
Do not look like human beings.
Not good.
The monster design is cool. I'll give him that.
It's all right, and you can still see like all the technology shit. It's like, yeah, fair play, man. This is Yoshitaka Amano machines. You literally can't fuck those up. He's just got the look, and those are always going to be appealing. And those look decent for what it's worth, but everything else is just like, I can't believe what I'm looking at. I can't believe this is real.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare. And still, CG anime do not know how to animate at a frame rate that makes their action look good. That's not some do. Hoseki did it, right? But
yeah, Hoseki did it,
and not many other shows. Wow.
They're not meant to move. Like those character designs in motion are horrid.
I don't know what they look like, but it is bad. It's like some rejected Xbox game from I don't know. It's scary. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's
some like guy who saw Psychonauts and was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yucky.
So
you want to go to the manga corner? I've been itching for the manga corner the whole episode.
Yeah, you want to talk about manga?
Yeah, I mostly read manga nowadays. Sometimes I'll get anime in when I'm really watching, and especially, you know, this season I'm going to be watching shit. But Yams and I got a lot to talk about Chainsaw Man.
Dude, the latest Chainsaw Man chapter is actually so funny.
it is like comedically ever since part 2 started the funniest shit. It is so funny every time, and like it'll just effortlessly blend those in with the moments where you're like, damn, this is good, and then you're just like laughing your ass off like in the next 12 seconds because something just fucking absurd happens right in front of your eyes.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's a
still
really
blown
good
away
balance.
that he's alive drawing a manga that looks that good weekly. It's absurd. Are you reading Chainsaw Man Part 2, Chris?
I am. I'm not caught up. I'm like 2 chapters
Okay,
behind.
we'll shelve her then.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk about it next time in combination with the first episode of the anime or whatever.
Ooh.
Want to hit on the Jujutsu Kaisen report from yours
Let us,
truly?
yeah.
Haven't
Go
done
ahead.
that in a little while. It is. I don't know. There's not really many like Shonen Jump stuff that like people really care about in the West right now. Besides like that and One Piece, freaks like Black Clover. But you know we don't have to really care about Black Clover, thankfully. Jujutsu Kaisen is still doing pretty good. It helps that the current like fight that we're on predominantly features my favorite character and like one of the coolest characters just like in general. I think they really nailed this character, and I've just been opening up every chapter and going, damn, she's so sick, and then just like putting it down and just being like, yeah, that's cool. So it's got me like just by the throat in the cheap shot zone. I'm just getting punched in the gut every chapter by the thing that specifically would appeal to me. A lot of people think it's doing the like Shonen Jump thing where it just starts meandering because it realized it didn't think this far ahead about what would happen if it was gonna actually get serialized for this long. And I do see a little bit of that. It's sort of unclear. Like this current arc is hot off the trail of the last like big arc, which finished up like a year or so ago, maybe probably longer actually. And that arc was like a very big, like climactic, like everything is turned up to 10. And it's sort of like in Soul Eater when all the shit like with Medusa really kicks off like near the half and then things change drastically for the second half. It seems like that's about to happen, and it's like that level of excitement and they just don't carry it through. But they build back up. A lot of shit does start happening and a lot of cool shit happens, but it's mostly just like been a year or so of setting shit up. And that's fine. We still got like a bunch of cool fights. There's a bunch of like quirky one-off characters. There's like a scene where they introduce a character, sort of, I don't know if everyone here has watched Jujutsu Kaisen or understands the world, but the conceit of the world is that like it's your average like, you know, everyday life, but some people have powers and there are like cursed spirits roaming around and only those with powers can even see them. It's like stands, basically.
Right.
And so there's this one-off character that's like introduced for like a couple chapters to like participate in a fight. And he's like this samurai guy and he can't see cursed spirits or anything, but he gives this line where he's fighting this fucked up cursed spirit like effortlessly and everyone's like, how what the fuck's going on? And he's like, well, if I can see everything else besides the cursed spirit, then isn't that the same as seeing it? And I'm just like, yeah, I guess.
Huh?
It's still got a handle on like really stupid stuff that you just have to nod and be like, yeah, that's cool though. And it's still doing a lot of that stuff, which is what I want out of it. So yeah, that's a Jujutsu Kaisen report.
Thank
Hey,
you.
that's great. Vinland Saga is still going pretty
Vinland
good.
Saga.
That's a good manga.
That is a good manga.
Season 2 of the anime coming out next season, you know, winter 2023. Best art.
Oh.
A lot of people are going to be real mad when he starts farming.
So many people are going to be so mad.
me.
I am so ready for the people who are just shonen heads to come in and be like, what in God's name is this?
I personally can't wait.
It's
I have
It's
not
going to be
read
so
this,
good.
so-
They're going to mauled and I'm just going to be sitting there like, hell yeah.
This is the best arc.
I'm about it.
But yeah, the manga is really good. I
Yeah.
won't spoil because I don't know if you guys are active readers or not. But
I keep picking it up and then getting far and then dropping it, and then it gets ahead of me, and then I keep getting far and dropping it.
mm-hmm.
But I'll get back to it.
This is a great manga.
One Piece report? I
Go
feel
ahead.
like if I'm gonna do the One Piece report, it's gotta be now because we are entering the beginning of the final arc. The
really?
longest running arc in One Piece history, like, concluded like maybe a month ago. And that was like a big arc. A bunch of shit happened. And people are freaking out. You're gonna see people, like, every time a One Piece chapter posts, you're gonna see it on Twitter. You just gotta get used to it because they're setting up for the next arc, and things are heading into the One Piece endgame. And I think that I might have mentioned it on the pod before, but I think we are entering a point where by the end of the decade, One Piece will be over.
Okay, I was
It's
gonna
kinda
ask.
crazy.
I have a bet with a friend about the date at which the manga of One Piece will end. I think the bet is that I was over 2025 and he was under, and so you are in the camp. It sounds like that will be after 2025, and therefore I will win $20.
It could go
Ooh.
either way.
Okay.
He's doing like another arc, which I don't think is gonna be longer, but as he's, done One Piece, every arc, even if it's just supposed to be a mini arc, has gone, a little bit longer and more exuberant than maybe explicitly necessary, just to like pad out some fights and shit like that. So I think this last like little arc is going to lead into like the other last little arc, and then after that arc will be not arc. I guess I should say like mini arc, I guess. But I don't know. I think like within the next year or so, I'll be very confident as to whether it's under or over.
Okay. Well, I'm locked in, so I'll choose.
Yeah,
to
but I
believe for
think
now.
I think it's safe to say after 2025. I don't think it could end before 2025. Just like in my mind, thinking of how One Piece could end without like railroading and just like cutting out a lot of the stuff that is still left to obviously do. There's like 2 more arcs left and then probably like a big final arc. And I think that both of those arcs are going to take 1 year minimum.
All right. Well,
So
I eagerly wait the
yeah,
inevitable
that's
conclusion.
the One Piece report. That's all the manga I got.
Y'all seen all the edits that people are doing of the One Piece memes where they draw different anime characters?
Yeah, I've seen the thumbnails on YouTube, but I still haven't clicked one because I'm like chilling.
Yeah.
I saw an edit with the Shoujo Shumatsu characters, and that was my favorite one. It was so good.
That's nice. I think the only other like manga that I'm really invested in that I'm reading that I would want to talk about are Boys Abyss and
I dropped that
Shimiji
shit.
Simulation.
I was so mad.
Dude, no, this manga is gas. It is so cool.
It's just like it's a manga about like how many women control this one guy,
Yeah.
and there's
it's
only
like,
one girl who's gonna succeed in that, and it's obvious.
no,
And so
it's
like they
not.
trick you into picking like what girl do you they give you the character select screen of what woman do you want to win, and then like something will happen and it will immediately become obvious that your girl is now out of the running. And I was in it for the childhood friend girl. I thought that she could fix him, and then just like one thing happens to her 2 chapters later, she comes in and is just deranged, and I'm like, well, this is fucked up. She had a good head on her shoulders, and now she's fucked.
That's what makes it cool, is that everyone is deranged. Everyone's crazy. Everyone's broken. And they all want a piece of him.
Yeah, but I don't want to see that
They
shit.
all
I'm trying
want
to
a piece of him.
I'm trying to see my Kings win.
Listen, he'll be all right once the teacher takes care of him.
No, dude, the teacher's been knocked out of the running since longer than the childhood friend.
Listen, if you were all right, I'm not going to go into it because it involves like reading the latest chapters, but I'll say it's very much still up in the air. I'll tell you that much. But it's good.
All right.
It's a good. I like this kind of like. I kind of do get like a sick, like disgusting pleasure out of these types of manga where it's just like these horrible toxic people just
Okay.
brutalizing each other.
Yeah, the Inio Sano classics.
Yeah, like that. But alternatively, Shimeji Simulation, uh which is also by Tsukumizu, the Girls Last Tour, uh much more of like a surreal, like sci-fi, I guess, fantasy, like very odd manga. It's introducing a little bit more of a conflict. We had like a big change in the world, not too long ago, and our characters have kind of come to terms with that and accepted reality as it is now, and now something else is coming in to mix things up, and I'm interested to see where it goes. It's a very good manga. I like it a lot. It's very
I did not know about
strange.
this. I'm definitely checking this out.
Oh
Very
yeah,
exciting.
I think you'd like it, Chris.
I'm a huge fan of this artist and of Shoujo Shimatsu, so I'm definitely gonna check this out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I think the only manga I could bring to the table that I was trying to think about manga that I read, and the only one I'm caught up on is Miruko-chan. I don't know if y'all read that shit.
No,
I've heard of it.
I
The
gave
manga is
that like
incredible.
the 10 chapters, and I don't know. I feel like I got a little deeper in, and I start to feel the same sense as I do with a lot of these other like manga that's just about like a girl with like a character trait, and I'm just like the same thing starting to really just happen every chapter, and I just sort of dropped it, feeling like that was never going to change.
It does. I feel like the meme of the guy that's like mining and then he stops right before the diamond or whatever.
Oh,
That's you.
do I need to keep gambling?
Yeah, unfortunately, you need to keep pulling the lever. If you there are some significant plot. That's one of my favorite parts about the early parts of that manga is that I think it really does a good job of kind of changing the stakes and developing pretty quickly. And it drip feeds you a little bit about like what her deal is and what the situation is as more characters get introduced. I feel like I can't remember exactly where that is in the manga. I feel like you're right before a couple of major key players get introduced. Did you get through the teacher arc with the
I don't.
dogs
All
or the
I
cats?
remember is that it was basically just like nothing more than it felt just like a four coma where just
Yeah.
like a girl was just getting trolled over.
You're
and over
you're in the
again, and
gag
I'm like,
comedy.
that's-
You're in the gag comedy section. You need to get to the horror drama section. The manga like plays itself as trying to be this horror comedy thing at first a little bit. And it stops that not too far after from where you are into it, and it leans more into just being more of a traditional horror drama, which I think the anime adaptation plays up the comedy a little bit more, and then also just is really horny for no reason in a way the manga is not at all. Did y'all not? I assume you didn't watch this. One of the weirdest anime adaptations I've ever seen in my life. They made it like they have so many like voyeuristic shots of the girls' bodies that are
What?
just super horny, and that's just not present in the manga at all. It was completely anime original, the horniness.
That's crazy.
It was gross. I did not like it at all. It was an okay adaptation. It was kind of low budget. It doesn't really do a very good job. I think the manga's pretty incredible. Big fan. It's been getting pretty crazy as of recent as well. But that's all I got for my manga
That's
corner.
so odd.
It was baffling because it was pretty immediate in the beginning episodes too, and I was like, I don't remember it doing that with her in the changing rooms and looking at her ass and titties like that. And then I went back in the manga and it was not there, and I was like, huh, all right. I
Your
guess
memory
something's
didn't
afoot
lie,
here.
it does,
Um,
All right. Well, now that we're done with that, can we talk about the drama? Can we talk about the drama, please?
The drama.
The drama.
The drama.
Yeah. So, voice actors. You ever hear about voice acting?
Yeah, once in a while.
So, usually in anime, at least on the Japanese side, they take like a voice actor's role pretty seriously for a character. Usually there's not very many circumstances which would lead to a character's voice getting replaced. An example being recently with Tatami Time Machine Blues, like I mentioned, the character Higuchi, who was the same character in the Tommy Galaxy and Night is Short. Although I learned that the new voice actor was also playing the voice in Night is Short. The reason why Higuchi got a new voice actor is because the original voice actor died of cancer.
Yeah, that's usually the only
yeah.
time you see that happening, or
Yeah.
if they smoke weed or something.
Yeah, or if they catch drug charges. Those are like
Yeah.
the only two times.
And so that is usually like it's usually a big deal when a character's voice changes. Like, you know, Goku is still voiced by like a 1,000,000-year-old grandma lady.
Yeah,
You know?
by grandma.
It's not changing. But in English dubs of anime, it's not really as sacred. So recently, the upcoming third season of Mob Psycho 100, the voice actor of the main character, Mob, is going to be changed. And the reason...
Who was doing it before?
It was Kyle McCarley.
Okay.
So, admittedly, I don't really watch dubs, but I think people who do watch dubs deserve to have as consistent as an experience as, you know, people who watch it in Japanese. So, the voice actor for Mob is no longer going to be in the series. And the reason as to why is because Crunchyroll, you know, parent company Sony, just didn't even want to have like a single meeting, just didn't even want to consider talking to Kyle and his union representatives about a union contract for doing the show. Just
what?
Yeah, that's the only reason. They just didn't even want to. They just didn't even want to talk to the union about the contract.
Just evil comic book villain shit. There's no reason. I can't believe that for such a premiere show like Mob, that they would actually just toss the main guy over something like a union dispute that, like, not even giving it the light of day either. It's
it's
egregious.
not like he was demanding something or like they were like looking for like some big change. They didn't even get to the point where they talked about what the contract would be. Just the fact that he was looking for a contract with his, you know, his voice acting union, it was enough for them to just like throw him to the curb. It's ridiculous.
So now every voice actor that works for Crunchyroll has to be worried that they're going to do this. And unfortunately, they're really replaceable because voice acting is one of those industries that like people really want to do. So they'll take pennies and you'll get replaced by some new hungry talent, which is lame. And I wish there was a little bit more solidarity there. But I think there was a pretty big outcry about this and still is to some extent too.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much I guess they can do about it now. They've already recast, right? Like,
yeah,
just a shame. Subwatchers win again.
I mean, yeah, it seems a little bit lame to do that, but yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna watch the dub. I never was. I do genuinely feel bad for people that are watching the dub.
Yeah, because like
fans.
they're getting a worse experience because now the voice is just gonna be different, and that makes a big difference, especially I think with younger viewers, because I recall when this is my own personal anecdote. Do you guys remember when they changed the voice cast for Pokemon, the Pokemon anime?
For Ash, yeah,
for the whole cast? Because they changed networks and I guess they couldn't get the same voice talent for a different network. So with, I believe it was Battle Frontier that season, starting with that season, the entire voice cast was changed and I just couldn't keep watching. I couldn't keep watching because it just felt so wrong in my head to hear these different voices voicing these characters. And it's different when it's like a different language, right? Because like my brain can understand logically, like, oh, this is a different language, but these same characters. But when it's the same language, different voices, it just feels so wrong when it's like so drastic. And that's what, and I just worry that, like, maybe somebody is gonna like see that with Mob and they'll be like, I'm never mind. Which,
maybe they'll switch over to the sub, and then we'll
maybe
recruit yet another sub
another
watching.
brave warrior.
Yeah, another brave warrior.
Who watches the shows the right way.
Another reader.
Oh yeah, I love reading my television.
Oh, I love to read television.
But that's the bad news. Let's get to the worst news of this IGN list.
Yeah.
So
fuck the IGN list.
IGN, the popular website, compiled a list of their top 25 anime of all time. Top 25 anime series. They specify series, like television anime. And we can just give like a quick overview of this here, and we can give some brief thoughts, because I gave like kind of like a side project for everyone here to compile something and related to this. So number 25, they have Haikyuu. I've heard Haikyuu's a good show. However, top 25 of all time, I don't know. Trigun. Trigun's a popular show. I could see a lot of people potentially placing that in their top 25.
For sure.
Dragon Ball Z at number 23.
Again, it's a legacy pick. Yeah.
It's such a legacy pick, so influential within its
It's
genre.
one of the most popular of all time. I think it deserves, if we're doing an all-time list, you have to take factors like that, legacy and popularity into account as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay.
Influence, like, how it affected the culture, because like Dragon Ball Z, obviously massive for international anime appreciation.
Yeah.
Although interestingly, number 22, one spot above it on the list, is My Hero Academia, which is so funny to me.
Has done nothing.
It's
culturally.
It's definitely
big.
It's just like
it's just big.
It's
more.
It's
just the same old shit. It's ordering Inuyasha potion off the dark web. That's all it is.
Yeah,
ordering
this
Naruto
does not belong
potion
on
off
any
the
top
dark
25 list. This is a cracked smoking
way.
take.
Of
Absolutely ridiculous.
Made in Abyss at number 21.
I think this is respectable. It leans normie, because I think Made in Abyss was a lot of people's like first serious anime. But that being said, like, it's like undeniably extremely well made, just from the whole production standpoint. So the music's incredible, the visuals are incredible. I don't know if it quite cranks up to the top 25 of all time, but it's good.
Now, what's interesting to me is that some of their writers, some of the IGN staff, did in this article decide to list what their personal favorite anime of all time are. And I think it's interesting to kind of look at that to see what caliber of anime fan we're dealing with here. So one of them lists Kill la Kill, which that's your guy.
What else does he say?
Well, it's just that
I may disown him. Oh, that they picked their favorite anime.
Yeah, just the favorite.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Miranda Sanchez. So.
Oh well, I'm choosing to believe that they're just as smart as me.
Right. Mitchell Saltzman chooses Monster, which I've never watched.
People
Monster.
are weird.
It's still
you
like
never see him in the wild.
Yeah,
and
they're
then you
older
watch
usually.
Monster and you're like, what is happening? This is House MD.
That's crazy. Mike Mammon chooses One Piece, the anime.
That's pretty normie. The anime is inferior to the manga, almost objectively. A lot of justice done for One Piece in the most recent arc, I think. I think the new director that they have doing a lot of stuff for like where the arc is at in the anime is genuinely pretty good. There's a lot of shots that I'm like, damn, that's good. For a weekly anime with the production schedule that One Piece has, it's crazy that they pumped out something that looks like this. And also, it's directed well. But on the whole, the One Piece anime is very, very whatever. It's so much worse than the manga.
Mm-hmm. Akeem Lawanson chooses Dragon Ball Z.
That's fine.
That's fine. If you don't watch a
Yeah.
ton of anime and like you got hype on Dragon Ball, that's cool.
Yeah, I like Captain Ginyu.
Yeah. Casey DeFreitas, however you pronounce it. Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's a fine show.
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty good.
It's got the best shonen arc of all time. Something I'm sure I've repeated ad infinitum at this point, but it's true.
Aaron Smith with the complete softball of a take here. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Good. So
Threw
I
a
can't
12
say
mile an
you're
hour
wrong.
fastball.
Yeah, like
But you know what? I didn't hit it.
Kalani Newman says Space Dandy. A little
which
bit
is
of
actually
a more bold
kind of a
choice.
spicy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little spicy. Not very normie. Like slightly maybe like.
I think Space Dandy is still fairly.
Yeah.
It aired
it's
on
a
Adult
little
Swim.
normie. Yeah, true.
It's but I think Space Dandy has a lot of creativity to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unique flavor to all the different episodes. I think it's a cool show. Now, speaking of normie, I'm gonna have to come at this Nars fellow for saying Cyberpunk Edge Runners as their favorite favorite of all.
all
You
time.
just
Can't
found it.
do
You
that.
know what?
You
You know
just
what?
found
Good
it?
for
Do
them.
that.
Good for them. If you're
Actually-
brave enough to watch an anime that finished like batch dumped a week and a half ago or whatever, and then say it's your favorite of all time, I'm happy for you. You've discovered something that is meaningful.
But I'd
to
also
you, I
be
guess.
inclined to believe that it's the first one of all time.
Yeah, or at least hasn't seen as much.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm only 2 episodes into Edge Runner so far. Still, I still love it. I think it's great. But
We also only
TBD.
watched 2 episodes of Edge
I
Runners.
went
It's
ahead
cool though. I like it.
and watched the next 2, but it is cool.
Yeah.
And it did troll people into thinking that like a bug fix Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game. It's still not. It's still
Dude, there's
kinda
so many
trash.
people. Yeah.
There's so many people who are so tricked, and it's like, what has actually changed? It's the same trash game with the same like nothing gameplay. Like, look, we'll start a gamer podcast, anime
Good PR.
podcast that must
Yeah.
continue.
And rounding off the end here with, again, an extremely lukewarm take, Jesse Shadeen with Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can never make fun of anyone for saying
can't.
Bebop's their
You
No,
favorite.
it's a good show.
Just perfect.
It's a good
yeah,
show.
It's too good.
Like, you got it.
Um,
But number 20, getting back to their like actual ranking here, this one is bizarre to me because their number 20 is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure parentheses entire series. The whole
That's
thing.
so weird.
I will say for people in general, I understand the desire to want to put JoJo's all together as a franchise and when ranking it as a list, if you just like, because that makes sense. It's all, but it's kind of like trying to say all of Final Fantasy is your favorite game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work like that.
Well, coming in at number 19 is Naruto Shippuden.
Shippuden. Why
Wow.
Shippuden? God. If you have to pick one of the 2 parts, why are you picking Shippuden, man?
Well, at
Yeah,
least,
like,
at least
honestly,
Shippuden
why?
has an ending. Like,
That's
yeah, at
true.
least she put it ends.
That's true, but I still think that Naruto, the first part, is objectively better.
yeah, I guess like because I did enjoy like the kind of like the main story progression of the original Naruto a lot. The only problem is then you get to literally 100 episodes of filler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you just watch the no filler cut or just read the manga or whatever.
Yeah, if you
Then
watch the
it's
good
pretty
parts,
good.
then it's really solid shonen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't know if it cracks the top. Shippuden doesn't. I don't know for the top 25.
I feel
At
like
least for me.
there's a very consistent theme in this list so far, and it's the theme that I'll mention once we get to the end here. But
Mhm.
number 18, we're getting to Death Note, which
Also, I would say expected on a list like this.
yeah, a fan favorite. It's very popular. Coming in at number 17, Attack the Titan.
Also,
already know who's
gonna
expected
show
on
up
this
here.
list.
You already know.
Honestly, surprised it's not higher.
Yeah,
I would
I
expect
would've-
this to be top like
True,
10 for
yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm. At number
Um,
16, we have a bold choice showing that they know is Ouran
Yeah.
High School Host Club.
Just in case there were any like women still reading this list
Yeah.
at this point, they have to show that that at least shoujo shows can exist on the shonen list.
Ladies, we get you. Number 15, Devilman Crybaby, which honestly I think also bold of them to put here, especially like relatively high, because I feel like it's contentious for some people. Some people don't
Yeah.
like how like violent and sort of unrestrained the series is.
At the same time, I think this is definitely the Yuasa show that broke out into the greater like
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
media
On
public
Netflix,
more so.
like-
Yeah. Like a lot of people liked this show a lot and watched it and enjoyed it. So I am not surprised to see that it clocks in on this list. It's not my favorite Yuasa show by like a couple of his entries I think are better, but it's definitely
It's
very
good.
solid. Yeah.
So number 14, here we go, Demon Slayer. Would you put
Yeah.
Demon Slayer
Wow.
anywhere near the top 15 anime
And nowhere
ever aired?
near.
I would put the Mugen Train movie on a top list of grossing films of all time, just
Yeah,
because
I
that's an
definitely would do
objective,
that.
an objective meter. I think Demon Slayer is here because it's a cultural phenomenon and because of its commercial success, and not necessarily. And it's also like it's a great production.
Yeah.
Ufotable's knocking it out of the park. It's fun. I don't hate it. Like I've enjoyed everything I've watched of it, but it's pretty okay as far as shonen
Very
go.
whatever.
Yeah. Like
It is not better than entries, other shonen entries on this list, like Attack on Titan, like even JoJo's for
I don't
sure,
even-
Made
yeah,
in
it's
Abyss.
definitely not better than JoJo's.
This should be number like 25 or 24.
Yeah. But you know what? When I make a turkey sandwich on white bread with mayonnaise and American cheese, like, hey, I still get full.
That's right.
And number 13, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion.
A wild choice, kind of.
I think it makes sense. It's usually in the conversation for the
Yeah.
all-time greats. I'm a fan. I've always
very
liked this
popular.
show. Yeah. So it can hang here.
Number 12 is Samurai Champloo, a very good series. I like it a lot. Very popular. People love it.
Yeah.
In kind of the same vein, the same like I guess flavor of show is Baccano.
Yeah. The Westaboo corner. This is the most based opinion on this entire list. I'm very surprised that it made the list. That means that some people with some amount of discerning taste were working on this. So good for them. This is, I think I've said this before, this is my favorite anime of all time. So yeah, I am, we're 2 for 2 at least for me and Wade having representation on the list. Oh wait, no.
Yeah.
No, Kill la Kill's
mine-
not on this list.
Yeah, it's
Kill la
on
It was on
Kill's
the,
not
it was on the
list, it was
personal
just-
list. Never mind. I
the
take it back.
discerning man's.
Yeah. Number 10, we're into the top 10 here. IGN says these are the top 10 anime series of all time. Starting with number 10, Fooly Cooly.
I unironically agree that Fooly Cooly is top 10
Yeah, I
of all
can see
time.
it there. I think
They're
it
pretty
deserves-
close.
There's an argument to be made about it deserving a place in that top 10. Just like how special it is for the people who hold it close to their hearts. Like I
Yeah.
think it could. I don't think it could go much higher than where it is, but I could see it being there.
Yeah, I think it means a lot to the people that it means a lot to.
Yeah,
If you get what I mean.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Number 9 is a little bit of a wild pick from my perspective. Yu Yu Hakusho.
I think this dates the list. I think that was kind of apparent with some other choices on this list too, but yeah, it's an all-time great as well in the Trigun vein, just a kind of a monument of the shonen era, in the early shonen era rather.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Extremely influential, created a lot of very famous tropes. I've never seen a single episode of this show for the record, so
Can,
I
can
don't have much to
someone
say.
can someone tell me, was Yu Yu Hakusho ever aired on Toonami?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe it was.
That helps my case. Number 8, you knew it was going to show up eventually. Neon
don't know why
Genesis Evangelion.
Criminally low on
needs to
this
be
list.
It's crazy
I
low.
cannot believe, even on a normie list, this should be top 3. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, you know.
I get
There's
it's,
just no
I
way
guess
to
it's still
swing that place.
controversial to some extent,
Yeah,
but
because a lot of people just like get the like the normie thing where like they looked up like Evangelion ending explained and they're like, okay, well I get what happened, but I don't understand all the like subtext and metaphor. So to me it just looks like they're being pretentious because they're being pretentious. And that's like a pretty common thing about like all the Evangelion haters I've come across is that they're just like, this isn't gas because it thinks it's way smarter than it is. And I'm like, look, I kind of thought that once, like when I first watched it, and then I grew up, I watched it again, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no,
No, it's just
they
competently
did the
made
damn
art.
thing.
Yeah.
No, it in fact is that gas.
It is just that good. They did do it.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think it's extremely. Do you have this article up? Are you reading it along as we go through this or not?
Nah, I
It's
have
really
the
funny that
games.
you said that because the first line in the blurb is there's a reason we still need an ending explained for Neon Genesis Evangelion more than 20 years after its release.
They made one, dude. It's called End of Evangelion.
Yeah,
Bro doesn't know.
that's so fucking funny.
Dude, the kind of people that need to read an ending explained article after every show they watch are definitely they're
I need them to give me
unfortunately a
money.
driving force in media today.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
the same time, I'd rather they watch the shows and then read those than not watch them. So
I guess so.
whatever works. I'll
Number
still make fun of
7 is Hunter x Hunter. All right.
One arc.
Yeah.
It just says Hunter x Hunter. Sorry.
I assume they mean 2011, the one that has more of it.
Yeah, the one that has Chimera. This is the
Yeah.
only part that would like even get it up there. I think it's like fine in every other part, but like there's just no way to swing it that high for me.
Yeah, higher than Eva, higher than Dragon
than
Ball Z,
Eva,
higher
than
than
Dragon Ball.
like higher than
Fooly
Samurai
Cooly, yeah,
Champloo,
Champloo, yeah.
like
No.
there's
But
a
a lot
lot
of
of shows that
people-
it's higher than.
A lot of people love it. It's a lot of
people
people's favorite of all time.
do
Yeah.
swear by Hunter x Hunter being like that gas above all other shonens, and I don't. I can't help but feel that I
Did you
I
miss
really, really do
something?
like Hunter x Hunter. It's not that I missed something. It's that I think what I liked about Hunter x Hunter was not what a lot of other people liked about Hunter x Hunter. Because I think that it does genuinely have, and I've said it like 10 times by now because we fucking keep talking about Hunter x Hunter, the best arc period in any shonen show. And like other than that arc, it's like just okay. It's like a fine, fun shonen show. Like I can see it occupying the same league as like maybe some early-ish Naruto, but like it's still less focused. It doesn't really have as much going on. There's like a lot of shakier concepts in the world, and it's more fun than it is cohesive, and that's fine. And I'm not really about that. I think that it could have been a lot of the things that it could have done, it should have done better. But like it all just like comes together for that perfect arc above everything else, and it's just so good. But like other than that, you can't swing Hunter x Hunter like above a lot of those other shonens in my mind. But again, I don't know. I guess I just haven't seen what a lot of people see in that show.
What's good is that is not the most wild take in this top 10. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But number 6 is fairly respectable. Mob Psycho 100. It's a modern classic. It is fantastic. It's well executed in every regard. Like, you got it. It deserves it.
I would say that this is maybe the only spot on this entire list that if I made one would be pretty close to what I would put this show. Like number 6 all time. Yeah. I could swing for Mob. I think especially we'll see about season 3 and how it all wraps up, but at least so far it's shaping up to be one of the all-time goats.
If I'm disregarding my own personal taste, like it seems like they're doing here, trying to go for more like what they think is like most well executed or like just best of all time. Yeah, I could see that. It's a really good show. Number 5 though, I'm scratching my head why you put Hajime no Ippo the anime. Hajime no Ippo at number 5.
Yeah, number 5
of all time.
Yeah.
Like maybe the manga has much more of an argument because like the manga's been running forever. It's super popular, super influential. Like it's, iconic. But like the anime? I don't understand.
There's also multiple versions, and I'm not really sure which one they're talking about. I assume the original. I don't know. I have no idea. There's like maybe the original to one from 2000. That one's pretty well beloved. I think this kind of confirms my idea that there's some old heads that are making this list, because I feel like most kids today have no idea what the show is,
Yeah.
and have never heard of it. But it's, it's a classic sports manga and has had some pretty solid anime adaptations. I just don't know if it makes it this high on the all-time list. That's a little crazy to me.
Yeah, this one is by far, I think, in of this whole list, this is the most baffling decision to me, is to place the anime Hajime no Ippo as number 5 all time. It just doesn't make sense to me. But number 4,
It's a little strange.
Number 4, we're back to Monster, which people really
I have
love.
nothing to say. It's House MD.
People really love it.
Nothing,
I've
bro.
never really had a desire to like get into it, but like maybe one day I'll have to, just to see what the hype is about.
Yeah, I also haven't seen or read this, but it's always at the it's always on the like secret best anime lists. Everyone that has like discerning taste likes it a lot or whatever, so it makes sense. It's considered one of like if you're more into more artsy anime, one of the better ones. So I understand why it is high on a list like this. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment one way or the other.
Coming in at number 3, again, why the anime? One Piece.
This one just has to be because of its importance, I assume. But
yeah, it has to be just an importance pick, but
like whatever, man.
One Piece, I mean, you said what you feel about the One Piece anime. Like it's fine for the most part. Like it's it's what's the studio again? Toei. It's a Toei produced shonen series. Like been running forever. The manga's way better, but I guess if you have to take into consideration like the power of the franchise, then maybe.
And I still feel like a lot of people did get into One Piece just because it was like, Eri got like 4 kids and shit like that, and then got like its other like shit, and that was like where a lot of people picked that show up.
Oh yeah.
So like for the West, I can see the anime because I don't know. That's sort of the case with a lot of like the shonens that do get popular in the West. Because obviously we don't fucking get Shonen Jump over here, and what most people get exposed to is the anime adaptation.
Yeah, manga is much more of a niche thing in the U.S. versus in Japan.
Maybe not anymore. Manga is far and away the most popular
I think
form of like sequential storytelling in print being sold in the West these days. Way more popular than Western comics.
I still think that people's exposures to these types of like of anime in general is coming from anime adaptations.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
like TV is huge. Like TV streaming,
so.
like obviously a way bigger influence, and like it fed the eventual like rise of manga. But yeah. Coming in at number 2, I guess I can't argue, because it's a really good show. Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, this is always going to be at the top of these lists.
And if there's one I really have nothing else to say about Cowboy Bebop, because it's like, yeah, okay, fair. You got me.
Yeah, you got me.
It's probably my second favorite anime of all time, or like it's top 5 for me for sure. So I'm not disagreeing with this at all. I would maybe put it number 1 just because I know what is number 1 on this list, but that's more up to my personal taste.
Number 1 is the most predictable pick of all time.
Yeah.
You already know it's coming. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I could have guessed this before I clicked on the list.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good number 1 if you're going to do one of these lists.
It has the best pacing of like almost any like show over 24 episodes I've ever watched. Like it's just a very extremely smooth ride from start to finish. It's wonderfully crafted. It's just all the characters make sense. All the plot points get addressed. Like everything if you're not like the kind of guy who needs an X ending explained article at the end of every series, you will understand everything that you need to understand about how this show works by the end. Whether you're consciously aware of it or not, like, classic, you won't notice it, but your brain will. Like it's great. It's, technically perfect.
Yeah. It hits on all cylinders. It's got incredible character writing and arcs. It's one of Bones' best looking shows still to this day. Everything about it is just immaculately put together. So I understandably number one on this list, and also on Mal as the overall show still as well.
Oh, did it
So,
get back up there?
Yeah.
It gets dethroned every so
every
often.
single there's every single time there's like some trending shit. I think but yes, it's back. Kaguya season 3 is back at number 2 now. So
Well, hold on. Mal most popular anime.
I'm going by score. Most popular is no, it doesn't matter.
Most
That's just by
popular is
most
Attack
members.
on Titan, Death Note,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then Full
yeah.
Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
By score though, which is the one that has the algorithm, then it's Brotherhood still.
Ah, okay. But yeah, that's IGN's top 25 of all time. Some questionable choices there, but I think this list more than anything else represents to me the kind of anime watcher who is probably in their early to mid 30s. They watched anime on Toonami and Adult Swim, and then maybe they forgot about it for like 10 years. But then in like 2017, they got a Crunchyroll subscription and they went off. And that's just the kind of anime fan they are now.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Like a mostly shonen head, and maybe that dips their toes into some other genres here and there, but like clearly shonen dominates this list.
Mm-hmm.
So especially the Toonami adaptations, like all of these, like Bebop and Fooly Cooly, and I think Champloo was on there. These are all like Hunter x Hunter. These are all Toonami shows.
Toonami,
so.
Adult Swim, like you watched
Yeah.
anime on the TV, and that's fair. I feel like a lot of people can relate to these shows being like foundational to their anime watching experience, and that's just the kind of person that they are. But the experiment I wanted to see is I asked each of you to make a top 10 list for anime, and I didn't specify top 10 what. So I'm interested to see how each of you interpreted top 10.
I thought you did specify.
No.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought, okay, this is what I thought the assignment was. I thought this was the top 10 anime that you would recommend to someone who doesn't really watch anime. So
That's what I thought it was too.
Yeah. Okay. Clearly, maybe you did say that.
So, well, I said top 10 of each of our own, subject to personal interpretation. So, if that's how you chose to interpret what the top 10 is, that's fine. I have my own different type of top 10, which we'll see if there's some overlap here. But
okay,
Wade, what's your top 10 here?
My top 10 would be
Start at number 10.
Okay, we want to start at the top.
Yeah, start at number 10 and then make your way up to number 1.
Number 10, I will put Perfect Blue.
Oh, that's bold.
I think Perfect Blue, like, you find the right kind of person, and I think they're ready to dive into anime with Perfect Blue. And like for that specific type of person, I think it's the perfect recommendation, but I think it's not something that you'll run into often. But like there are certain people I've thought of in my head that if I were to recommend them an anime, it would be that one. At number 9, I got Odd Taxi.
Ooh.
Yes.
I think Odd Taxi is a little bit of a sort of like a situational pick, but I think it's more broader in its scope. I think it delivers a story that is pretty down to earth in spite of the fact that everything is animals. It's like very approachable, easy to follow, still very human. It's just a good production all around that I think is very approachable without having, too much thrust in your face of like, whoa, this anime shit is just weird. A little bit of a heel turn. What am I, number 7?
Yeah, or number 8.
At number 8, I got Psycho Pass.
Ooh,
yeah.
A little bit of a violent tendency with this list so far. You got a lot of dark shows.
Yeah, I guess, but Odd Taxi's a little brighter. Psycho Pass, I think, That, and I think that, when you're recommending stuff to like Western, the stuff that's specifically made in Japan to sort of appeal or lean more Western is going to be more violent, I think. And I'm not saying that Perfect Blue or Odd Taxi or even Psychopaths were made like, let's get Western pilled here. But like, I still think that you can go with more violent, darker like dramas, and those are more approachable, I think, to the average American audience than like a real oddball like I don't know, fucking
Katana
what's an
Gatari or
example?
something.
Yeah, like not even Tatami Galaxy, but like even maybe like a shonen like Hunter x Hunter. Like if you show like an ordinary dude Hunter x Hunter, he's like, I don't get this. Why is he attacking with rock, paper, scissors? Why is there energy coming out of his hand? And so I think like this like bottom part of the list is where I go with the really grounded, like sort of darker dramas. And then stuff that I think is more representative of what to expect with anime on the whole. Number 7, right?
I think. Yes, I believe that is it.
Number 7, I'd say this is tough. I have this here down as a toss-up between Akira and Ping Pong the Animation.
That's funny.
I don't know if I would put Ping Pong in a general recommendation. I say that, but I guess a lot of normies have seen it and liked it.
Yeah, I think that like amongst, like the current generation with how common like taking sport or things very seriously is, and like specifically esports, and how now that ties in uniquely with, a competitive mindset, it's now approachable as a recommendation. And so I think I put that there, and I think that's, pretty common for like something I would recommend. And I think Akira hit the same spot of that because Akira's just fucking cool. It's like it's weird, you're like, damn, that's crazy that this guy exploded and turned into like a big beast and there's like psychic powers, but that bike is sick.
It is cool.
Yeah, and so I think that comes up on the cool factor. Number 6, I have In This Corner of the World.
Ooh. A historical drama.
A historical drama about World War II. I feel like it's a little Grave of the Fireflies, but like kind of blows it out of the water a little bit. I think In This Corner of the World does the Grave of the Fireflies thing. It's definitely going for a different thing, but I think it's a lot more like human, for lack of like a better tangible term. And definitely means more to me personally, but I think that's a really good starting point that is like pretty broadly applicable. Like anyone can sort of relate to the themes, at least in concept, or at least be aware of the historical context therein. I'm at 5.
I don't know, man. You tell me.
I didn't number these. I have to go back down and count. Okay. Number 5, I put in, this is maybe my spiciest pick, I put in His and Her Circumstances.
Ooh, Cardicano.
I think Cardicano is goated. Definitely underrated. It sort of fights with itself as to whether or not it wants to be a comedy show or a romance show, but sort of existing within that struggle, it never exactly like breaks its like cohesion. And I never felt that it was particularly strained, but people who I've talked to about it did feel that and felt that it was just like tug of warring itself. But I still feel like it's universal, right? It's like romance is universal. You can understand the themes, you can relate to them somewhat. And it is like high school Japan show, but you still get it. It's not really about that. There are a lot of fun characters, a lot of cool stuff going on. It's very funny. It'll take time to do a gag that's like really wacky and out there, and it still like lands just by the proficiency of its setup. I think it's really good, and I think it's a good recommend to a newcomer. And then now, my top 4, we have the big dogs, the things that I just be like, yeah, probably anybody could get into these, unless they really aren't like about it and need a niche recommendation, which you see every once in a while. And I'd start with Neon Genesis Evangelion
Ooh.
at number 4. I think this show is like, you watch this show and it will, whether you realize it at the time or not, determine solely the trajectory of your, like, how you are going to interact with the medium as a whole. Because as an introduction to, like, you know, weird anime and like the whole anime thing of, oh, here's fucking big robots doing cool shit that I did, not because it really makes sense, but because it's cool and it's like a cool machine and there's a lot of cool characters who are doing cool things. And it's not afraid to get weird and down in there in the dirt. And I think that like your reaction to that like determines how you go. And so I think for gauging that reaction of like whether or not a person's going to be an anime fan, you can find no better like divining rod than Eva. I'm not sure everyone would like it, but it's still something that I would recommend just to get a feel if I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That it's very interesting that you place Eva there, and we'll get to that later. But like, go on.
It didn't make my list for the record, and I can maybe just because again, I really was going for approachability. I think Ava is maybe the tier 2. Once people have seen a couple of shows, then I'm like,
it is a tier 2. But I think that like at some point, like you can just pull the Band-Aid off. Like if someone's not gonna fuck with it, like you just throw Eva at them, and it's like I think the perfect blend of all the things that like someone who just can't like an older guy who just like thinks the robots are weird or just like can't get over some aspect of the presentation. Just like this would be the measuring stick, in my opinion.
Hey, why is that Shinji boy pulling his pecker in the hospital?
Yeah, shit like that. Number 3, Little Witch Academia.
Woo!
That's on my list too.
Trigger fan moment.
It's I think it's pretty good. I think it's sort of, it's not like amazing. I think it's really strong, and I think that like you can just recommend it to anybody and they're just like, yeah, witches, Harry Potter, I get it. I'm in with this. I understand it. I can get in and have fun. It's not really that weird. Yeah, I think it's just a solid pick. You really can't go wrong. I think it's very approachable.
That makes sense.
I agree, and I will say many of the same things when I talk about it on mine.
Number 2, I actually forgot I put this one here. This is the spiciest one by far. Golden Boy.
Dude, okay, I'll let you say your thing, and then I have a commentary, because I watched episode 1 of it for the first time not that long ago. But so go ahead.
Golden Boy, you can lure anyone in with the premise of, yo, check this out. They got titties in this show. And then, psych, you're now watching a funny comedy.
Yeah, it is.
And
it is
there's
a
also
trap.
titties. It traps you, and like you're just so caught up in the comedy and it's like it's like you can get the fellas with this one every day of the week.
Oh yeah, easy capture.
Easy capture. Pokeball, they're not getting out.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of breasts in this anime,
and eventually you forget
really
about
funny.
the boobs after a while because you're just laughing.
Number 1, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt.
Really? Wow. I don't know if I
Yeah,
agree
he had to
with
let his
that.
personal taste sneak in. He had to
Yeah,
let it
yeah,
sneak
yeah.
in.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and
This is where I
explain.
started. I started here.
Sure.
I think a show that is intentionally designed to be like, hey, look at this. This is like American cartoon. But then you sort of immediately begin to understand that you're actually seeing American cartoons through the lens of someone who really doesn't watch American cartoons and is just sort of superimposing their perception of American culture at the time onto it, while also just projecting the fact that they're a weird pervert like onto it. Like, you just got to get this one out of the way, and you can trick anybody into watching this. I
Oh,
firmly
yeah.
believe that.
It's super watchable, even if you're not familiar with anime at all. It's also, I feel like it could be alienating just because it's so over the top, um, and like super sexual, which again is gonna be a coin flip for anyone, I think, depending on whether they're into that or not.
Yeah.
But it like you said, I think a lot of people watched this pretty early on in their anime careers, and it clearly didn't put them off. So I can't argue with that.
Anyway, that's my list.
Awesome.
Yeah, good list.
So Wade gave us his list. Chris, what does yours look like?
Okay, so I want to preface. I had to think about this. I really did approach this as like I am, and this is gonna obviously depend. There's no good way because what I would actually do is I would ask people what they like and then cater a list based on that because everyone
Yeah,
has
that's what
different
I did.
taste. Everyone has different taste. Everyone's gonna be into different things. So in lieu of not having like a fictional person to do that for, I just gave a lot of picks that kind of hit on some different areas, but all kind of meet the same criteria of what I would consider to be like ease of access and watchability, for different reasons. So these are not necessarily my favorite anime of all time, though there are lots on here that I love and like a lot. Um, I just wanted like good picks and in some genres. And so I think I'm gonna go. This one's actually probably more of an outlier because it does take place in a Japanese high school and does rely on some of those sort of Japanese high school tropes that you might not be as familiar with. With that being said, I still think it's super approachable. I picked Toradora as a like rom-com or like rom-com slash romantic drama that is set in a Japanese high school. I think that even if you're not familiar, this one does a pretty good job of just like you can clearly see what the stakes are. You can see what's going on. This guy want date this girl want date this guy, things go from there. And I think that it develops into a pretty good drama along the way as well. So I think a lot of people watched this one early on as a sort of it's considered a gateway anime, I think, and for good reason. So
Yeah, I think Toradora specifically does serve that role pretty well because if you're coming into it with like not a ton of anime experience or something like that, uh, it has like a lot of like tropes that are a little bit overplayed, but like you won't care because you don't know that they're overplayed.
yeah,
You're watching it early, like
and it really was early enough, and like the tropes were there, and they were popular at the time, and maybe overplayed at the time when it came out, but it was also earlier enough that they weren't beaten dead yet as well.
right.
So it doesn't feel as obnoxious. All right. Number 9 on a wildly different scale, a much more recent pick. I chose Great Pretender,
Ooh,
the Netflix show from last year. Just because I think, and this is a trend. There's a couple other anime like this. Anime not set in Japan. I know this one is a little bit. It kind of bounces around, but it's a very international show, so it doesn't lean on Japanese tropes. It feels very Western in its presentation. I think literally anyone could flip the dub on for this show and just be like, it's a fun, wacky heist show and
yeah.
have a great time with it. I really liked it. I thought the presentation was great. The visuals were really good. I liked a lot of the characters and the writing. I didn't love the like very very end of it. The last arc I thought was a little bit weak. But again,
Mhm.
for the most part, if you're trying to show someone like if they have preconceived notions of what anime might be, at like being just annoying and having all these like weird fucked up tropes and horny shit or whatever, this is a great anime you can show someone and be like, no, it can be anything really. And it's also just a lot of fun. Uh, Number 8. So this one's the normie pick. I put Attack on Titan. There's a reason that it's so many people's first anime and that there's so many people that like get introduced to the medium through it. It is just a very competently made shonen show that has a very good premise and a really gripping start, I think. And is also, and I think it slogs a little bit towards the beginning, but if you can get past the stupid Trost rock arc into the what I would consider to be the meat of what makes the show good, which is like the what part right after it, then I think you're in for a pretty good ride. And also, it's one of those shows that everyone's going to assume you've seen, so might as well get it out of the way. Then number seven, six, something like that. Little Witch Academia. Wow. I also put this on here just because of basically everything that Wade said. I think I like it a little bit more. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. And I think that you can watch, and literally anybody could watch this. You could watch this with kids if you have kids. If you are a child, I think you would watch this and love it. So it's just this extremely cute, extremely fun, high energy show
Very
that at the
wholesome.
same time, it's very sweet and wholesome. It's funny, but at the same time, I think that like it is doing things that are cool that if you are not super into the medium, you won't maybe notice the first time. But if you go back later and watch, like it's very clearly a Studio Trigger production. It's got lots of style and substance in it as well that you might not notice the first time. So you're kind of tricking them into watching something better, and then maybe they'll get gatewayed into watching other Trigger stuff because they'll be like, "Oh, I like this," and I can be like, "All right, well, let's see what we can go next with it." The next one is Akagami no Shira Yukihime. Have either of y'all seen this?
No.
Okay.
What is
Um,
this?
No, I've never heard of this.
Oh, really? It's called Snow White with the Red Hair is the English name.
Which of the four?
Okay. It is a Bones anime from the middle of the 2010s. It's based on a manga.
Oh.
It is, I think, the closest to a Disney movie anime has ever gotten. But it's way better than like most Disney, like 90s era Disney movies. I would give anyone that is like a big kind of Disney romance fan, this is the show I would give to them. Because there is like basically zero anime bullshit tropes at all. It feels very like fantastical. It is got really good, really fun characters. It's very sweet. It's a really good romance. It's played very well. This show is great, by the way. I would recommend both of y'all. Like, if you are looking for something like this, I really enjoy this show. It's just, I think if you're looking for that kind of fantasy romance type beat, which is a very popular genre for a lot of people, this is immediately the one I would point to. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And then next up is so the next one I picked was Gurren Lagann. I think
Hey.
this one does have some anime bullshit in it, but I think
yeah.
that even despite that, it is very watchable because the comedy and the action can push it forward just so well. And also, it is just, I think it's super approachable. I think a lot of people get introduced to anime with it as well back in the day. And it's also, I think, probably the single most approachable mech show that exists. Y'all can correct me if I'm missing something
I
else.
think Lelouch is slightly more approachable.
Oh, Gias, sure. This is more. Gurren Lagann is more of like a proper like
it's more
mech
of a mech
in
show.
space.
I'll give you
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Gurren Lagann Gias is technically a mech anime,
Yeah,
but they don't go to space. You know, it's like it's all on Earth and they're fighting on a smaller scale. So I'll give you that one. I considered putting Gias on here. It's probably honorable mention.
I should honestly, yeah. I think Gias would probably make my list if I had to go back and do it again.
It's also, I would say, an extremely approachable show.
Yeah,
but
very
yeah,
approachable. Nothing to show an American. Like, what if a guy did war against British? We've done that before.
Yeah.
We know what that's about.
If you hate British, you gotta check this show out.
Hey, we know what that's about.
Exactly. But in the same vein, I think Gurren Lagann is just extraordinarily approachable. It's got a great dub if you're looking, if that
It does
matters
have a pretty
to
good
you.
dub. I have watched the dub.
I actually have, I think, only watched the dub. I have not seen the sub of this
Wow.
one. I know.
It's
been a while since I've rewatched it.
Sub either.
So just a really fun one. And also, this one is great because you can trick people into thinking it's a more normal, grounded anime. Not grounded, but like it's a more standard action show at first, and then it gets fucking crazy in the back half. So that one's nice too. It makes for a good roller coaster. Um, um, Next up is Bakano, which I had to put on here. I know that it's fucking weird and it's like just literally difficult to watch because of the nature of its presentation. But if you are able to like, you know, get through it, I still think it is, like, again, I said earlier, it's my favorite show of all time, or my favorite anime. I think that if it's the type of person that you think could fuck with it and could like keep up through being initially confused, it being confusing has nothing to do with it being anime. You know what I mean? Like it is the one of the most Western based shows of all time. Just in the way that it is presented, and what the subject matter is about as well. Also, a show that has the best dub of all time, just hands down. So I would in fact insist on showing them the dub over the sub of this one. So if someone doesn't want to read or whatever, this is a great option. Just a really, really cool, fun, and unique show that can kind of highlight what makes anime good. And then next up is a much more recent option, Spy Family. I would definitely. I actually have a great anecdote about this because my youngest brother, who is in high school, has been showing my mom this as it's come out, and she's seen like some anime movies here and there, like some Ghibli stuff and like
Right.
Your Name, but has not watched much shows, and she really likes this show. She thinks it's really fun. I just think that it has a brilliant premise. It's also not really in Japan. It doesn't rely on any Japanese tropes or historical knowledge that you would need. It is in a fantasy world that's based on like East Germany or whatever. So, and it's got amazing production values. It is incredibly likable. All of the characters are great. It's really funny. It's not horny at all, and it's just a great time for everyone involved. So this is I think I think one of the reasons why it broke out and it's so popular.
Yeah.
Outside of just the general anime
I agree. It's
community in
just a
general.
great premise. It's well executed, and you know, what more can you ask for?
And then rounding up, hey, so this is funny. I didn't realize I did this. My top two are the IGN top two. So in the same order. The last two are Cowboy Bebop and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Bebop also is just one of the most popular anime of all time for a good reason. And like it also not really set in anything based in Japanese culture. Watanabe is a known Westaboo, and it shines through, especially in Bebop, I think. Also has a great dub. I think anyone who's into sci-fi in general can get into this show. You don't have to have seen anime at all.
The soundtrack's
You can just,
incredible.
yeah, the best anime soundtrack of all time. It's beautifully animated. It's got a lot to think about. It's got a lot of fun action moments. It's really funny. It's kind of the whole package. And then the last one is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which if I had to give a single anime, I think to recommend to literally anybody on the planet as a first anime to watch, I'm probably going to say Brotherhood every single time. Much for the same reasons we kind of discussed in the IGN list. I think it is just this perfectly paced, brilliantly written little package that is just really easy to get right into, and that you will probably like a lot, and lots of people do as well. So that's my list.
Yeah, that's honestly a very good list. Also, I think
Way better than my list. My list sucks.
Well,
I
it's
think,
just different criteria.
yeah, I think it's like the perspective that you both have is like, I guess, a little bit different, because I think with Wade, it's like with Wade's list, it strikes me as more like he's not throwing you in the deep end, but he is like throwing you in the middle of the pool. I'm
throwing you right in the middle of the pool and seeing what happens.
Yeah, so whether you'll swim to the deep end or you'll go to the shallow end to get out, you know, like,
yeah,
that's what Wade's
I'm
doing.
doing.
And
I think that like specifically my experience like recommending like anime to people, like I like never was able, like none of my family members have any interests in anything like even adjacent to anime or like gaming or anything. Like like my dad and my mom and like my brothers like used to do shit like that, but they're not really like anime guys. Like they mellowed out like as they like grew and are now just for the most part like wife and kids guys. So they don't even have time for shit like that usually anyway. And my parents are like, you know, I've tried in my teen years to like try and get them like, you know, just try and relate to them in some way and just like get them to like do stuff and just like maybe watch an anime. And I've shown them some stuff before, but like nothing has ever stuck. My parents just can't get like animation as a medium. And so like
Yeah.
that's a lot of like people I've tried and failed to like sell on anime are typically just like people, you know, who are just like older than me or are just like boomers or just shit like that. And those are the people who like, you know, would need the convincing in the first place because I feel like, you know, even the casual like dude our age knows what anime is and at the very least is open to the concept of the medium of animation and not everyone like who's much older than that is. And so I sort of catered that to like, okay, well, I can get away with more. So rather than just like, you know, trying to ease them in, I can put them in the middle of the pool. And if they float, they float. And if they want to get out, they get out. And there's no changing that. Like, it's either for you or it's not. And
Yeah.
there's no point in like easing in my opinion.
It's hard to convince a people of a certain age that animation is not just for children. And
Yeah.
I've run into that as well, or just the medium seems difficult and approachable. I've tried to get my dad to watch stuff. I will get him to watch Bebop one day because it is exactly his kind of shit. He loves like sci-fi shows like Star Trek and Firefly and shit like that. And I'm honestly, if you
Dude,
like
Bebop is
Firefly,
so
Bebop
much
is like the same
Firefly.
show.
Like,
I
Yeah.
gotta figure out what my
yeah.
dog's barking. I'll be right back.
back at it. Okay. And I have my list here, and it is a lot different from you guys' list because I chose instead of doing a like top 10 introductory anime or something like that. I'm kind of in the opposite direction where I named this list my top 10 brain anime,
Okay.
where
This is great.
These are shows I would categorize as brain shows where you need to use your brain. So starting off the list is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood at number 10.
Yeah.
Kind of like we looped from mine.
Yeah. So it's a top 10, so Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has to be on it. But also I feel like this is a show where if you are looking at the screen the whole time and your brain is turned on, you will not have any questions at the end of the show. However, you will be enriched. Like you will understand something a little bit more, and you will kind of like get you'll have things to think about after the show is over that will carry on past you watching the show, which I think is an important criteria of what I call a brain show. Is that it has to be something where like you may or may not be asking questions about what actually happened in the show, but you are left with ideas and things to think about. And I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood does a great job of that because it introduces a lot of concepts and it gives you a lot of ideas, which do mostly just apply to the characters, but also you can think about those ideas and how they relate to other things and other media and in real life and things like that. And importantly, also, it's just a really well put together show. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is a show, it's one of my personal favorites, is Denno Coil. And Denno Coil is a great show because I think it's still very approachable. It's not, too strange, but it is, I think, a wonderfully assembled sci-fi world that doesn't ask you to suspend your disbelief too greatly, because the way it puts everything forward kind of makes sense kind of self-evidently. In case, have you both watched it?
I've seen
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm in the middle of it towards the back half right now.
Okay.
I'm very slowly group watching it, but I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. But the ideas present in Den no Coil beyond just the world that it creates, I think leave you wondering about a lot of things, and it kind of gives you a sense that there is more to this world than was shown, and that the questions it asks, apply to more than just this one situation. And it's just a really good series that I think you do definitely have to be paying attention to in order to like get the most out of it, because I think if you slack off and you kind of like look away, if you have this as a second monitor show, you're going to be like halfway through and you're going to be very confused, and I think you can't be doing that.
I have a brief anecdote to prove that point.
Yeah.
We were watching one of the episodes of this. This is like a month or two ago, and I had taken a gummy, and it kicked in a little too early, like a weed gummy. And then when we came back to watch the next episode a different day, they were referencing things, and I was like, "Damn, I don't know what the fuck these guys are talking about," and I had to go back and watch the episode again.
Yeah,
You
not
do
a
need to be
gummy
paying
show.
attention. Not a weed show. Now, granted, it also kind of is, because like, bro, like, what if
Yeah,
it
you
was
think
fun?
about like, what if I
What if
had
we
those
had
glasses,
goggles
bro?
and my cat was digital? But at the same time, yeah, I completely agree. I think it actually is surprisingly approachable despite the subject matter and the content, but you definitely need to be engaging with it to keep up with the plot.
Mm-hmm. At number 8 is a show that for a long time I didn't think required that much. Like, I thought it was pretty self-evident, but Mob Psycho 100 is my number 8. Because it turns out I've talked to people at Chris. We've talked to people that just don't get it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think Mob is, obviously it's a well put together show. It's great. It's very smart, and it doesn't feel the need to kind of like force you to engage with all of its ideas all at once, because its ideas are sort of present throughout all of the show, and it doesn't have to rush anything, and it lets you kind of make your conclusions and understand what you're supposed to understand and what you might wonder uh, in your own time, which I think is a great quality for a show like that to have. Uh, it's not on its face. It may appear sanctimonious and it may seem like it's like ranting to you, but it is definitely a lot deeper than that. Because while the show may literally be ranting to you, that's not necessarily what it is saying, you know?
Yeah, 100% agree.
And
It's got
so,
great themes,
mhm,
and you have to engage with them a little bit more. I mean, you can be entertained by the action and the comedy,
yeah,
but like, Mob has a lot to say, and it does not come out and say it. It does sometimes. Reagan does sometimes, I think, but a lot of the times, a lot of its overarching themes, I think. I really I love One's storytelling style. It's very
mhm,
unique and creative.
he's good at it.
Oh yeah.
So number 7 is one which appeared on the IGN list, is Devilman Crybaby. I think this show is, I think it's a little bit of a filter for some people who maybe don't want to engage meaningfully with like a little bit like edgier things, because there's a lot of like very gratuitous violence and sexuality in this one, but I think it serves an important function, and it really highlights kind of the ideas that you're supposed to come away thinking about with the show, because a lot of it is about, like connections with other people and kind of the nature of humanity and things like that. And I think that it's very easy to I guess it's pretty easy to sort of tune out and miss that. Which thankfully the show is enough of a spectacle where you're still probably entertained, even if you do miss out on that. But I think that it's obviously Devilman itself, the series, the manga, is a classic for a reason. It's beloved through time, and I think Devilman Crybaby was a great adaptation of that, done by a great director.
Yeah. That anime
Yeah.
makes you feel some type of way after the end of it, which is not something I can say about every show.
Hmm.
It definitely not as many shows are brave enough to go as far as it goes.
Yeah, I think that's an important factor. Is like it really like because I feel like a lot of viewers, especially like I don't know, a lot of people. I guess I wouldn't say nowadays because it is a consistent thing, but like a lot of people are, I guess, coddled by a lot of stories, and they sort of expect lines to not be crossed in terms of like the narrative. And Devilman is not afraid to cross a lot of lines, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 6 for me is Planetes. Planetes is one of my favorites. I think it is hard. I think hard sci-fi is another filter for a lot of people because a lot of people get very bored by it. But I think that the vehicle of this sort of very mundane science fiction environment is used very efficiently to tell a an extremely human story, and ultimately the themes I guess are not too complex in Planetes because it is mostly it's mostly a love story between the two main characters, but also the way that these two characters find love is through their own ideals and how they choose to interact with the world, and how they interact with the world is based predominantly on how the world is, and the world in Planetes is very reflective of our own, and the ideas present are doing the thing that sci-fi does best, where it shows elements of our own culture and sort of magnifies them in this fantastical technological fiction that lets us sort of examine our own reality through kind of like a magnified lens. And I just think it's a great show about garbage in space.
I gotta watch this shit. I haven't seen this shit yet. Heard good things.
Mm-hmm. Number 5 is a bit of a twist, Nichijou,
Ooh,
because
agreed.
I think Nichijou is a show which exercises maybe not your intellectual intelligence, but your emotional intelligence. I think Nichijou is a fantastically funny show. It's a very it's a very emotional show, I think, and it's very it feels weird to say it's understated because so much of it is so over the top, but I think a lot of its emotionality is understated compared to its humor because there's a lot of like Kyoani schmaltzy sort of charm to it, which is sort of drowned out by the wacky comedy to some people, and that's why I think not really any other comedy anime has come close to touching it, in my opinion, except maybe Hinamatsuri. But like Nichijou, I just think is like so it really nails a lot of ideas and like not just humor because it is outrageously funny, and I think it does it in ways that continue to be fresh and continue to be like repeatably hilarious no matter how many times you watch it. But it's also just like a good it gets you to care about these characters while they're being silly in a way that goes beyond their silliness. And it's the best comedy anime ever made, and you got to be smart to appreciate that.
True. You have to be a genius.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Number 4 is the same exact anime as Wade's number 4. It's Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Whoa.
I think
For the opposite reason.
well, kind of.
Well, actually, no, kind of the same reason.
Kind
just
of the
on
same reason, yeah.
Yeah.
I think NGE is a show that, again, on first blush, it can be a little bit confusing. It can actually be very confusing. But I think there's a reason why it's had so much influence in anime over the years. I think that, in order to really kind of like get Eva, you sort of have to think about it a lot. And a lot of the things which people say, even like historically, people have said, like, oh, like all this like Christian symbolism or whatever, it's just for show. It's not for show. I'll tell you that much. It's not for show. It's actually intentional. And it took me a long time to realize that. And once I realized it, I was able to appreciate Eva so much more. Because, the ideas of like religion and, the ideas from the religious ideas that it uses to tell this story about people and their connections and their identity and, the idea of like individuals versus the collective and the sort of connective the power of like connecting with other people while still maintaining distinct separate identity. Everything in NGE is really good and it's executed perfectly as long as you watch the series and End of Evangelion.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Go no further. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
We're gonna have to have a talk about the rebuilds at some point.
But
it's okay.
I have nothing else to say about the rebuilds because I personally haven't gone through and watched all of them because I consider Eva and End of Eva to be a complete and beautifully put together story.
You are right. Oh, this is great. You're me in like 2015 or something. This is interesting. I wonder if you went through and watched them all like I did a second time and then watched the last one. If you would change your mind the way I did, that's really interesting. But we can talk about it a different time.
No, that's something.
I'd rather you get back to your list.
Number 3 is this is where it starts getting a little weird. Is Kaiba. Anybody watched Kaiba?
I have not seen Kaiba yet.
No.
I definitely want to.
Kaiba is a television anime directed by Masaaki Yuasa. It is so good. And it's so weird. And it's so visually distinct. But every single episode is just completely dripping in like just a miserable hopelessness. Like the world of Kaiba is such an exaggerated caricature of problems we have in our own world because Kaiba takes place in this society where essentially immortality has been discovered but is really only accessible to the wealthy. You can insert your memories, which essentially, is like the whole of your personality is just a collection of your memories. You can insert your memories into another person's body or into an entirely new body that's created, purpose built for just, slotting a brain into. And so people with means are able to effectively gain immortality, whereas people without, are forced to sell body parts or sell their whole bodies, just as a resource to survive. There's many characters where, their ultimate conclusion is they don't have money to basically keep living, so they have to sell their body and hope that someone around them, like a family member, is going to be able to buy them a new body someday and plug their memories into so they can come back to life. It's and all of this is wrapped up in like a very cutesy art style. It's very pretty to look at, and each episode is a little bit different, but ultimately the series does have a little bit of a positive conclusion because uh Yuasa does have a little bit of a soft spot, and ultimately, it's all about finding love. And I just think like it's such a well put together sci-fi world that gets you to think about like what are the logical extents to which like these problems can really be carried, because when you watch it you can really envision like the real world elites like doing this. Like you can envision like our world becoming like this very easily, because they explain, like it makes very clear what the motivation of these people are, and it doesn't say a lot about it because it just presents it how it is. It's not trying to make a statement, it's just saying how this world is, and
Hey, check
it
out my
leads you to make your
sci-fi
conclusion.
fucking idea for you. New virus just dropped, and it's killing every man except me. What?
Oh, and then you have to have sex with all the women, right?
Yes, but here's the catch. I only love one woman.
Oh,
But then you won't have
Yeah,
sex
so I
with
won't. No, I won't. Because I only love
Okay.
the one girl.
Okay, but like, what if you did anyway, though? Still,
Nah, that's not. We gotta go through rights holders, and yeah, it's just not happening. Sorry.
damn.
No, but that show sounds gas. I'm
yeah,
gonna
Kaiba
pick
is
the
great.
shit out of that.
Yeah, it's been on the short list. I actually never knew what it was about until you just told me right now. So
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
It's a great show. But that's number 3 on my list of brain shows. You definitely can't second monitor that one. You will not
No.
have any idea what's happening. Even though it is like for most of the it kind of does like a little bit it starts off a little bit episodic where like our main character just goes from place to place and like has a little story at each location before building up to the big one. But even then, it's like you got to be paying attention. Number 2 is one which you'd think is a little bit more pedestrian, but I feel like a lot of people sort of saw it and were just like, huh, that's a weird show. Is Paranoia Agent. It's
True.
no surprise that I would think a Satoshi Kon produced show would be a brain show, because that guy was the GOAT. But
He cranked out literally nothing but bangers.
yeah, and then he croaked.
And then he
It's very
died.
sad.
He died before he could get old and rusty.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe he would have.
No, I
never
think he
gotten
would have just.
rusty.
What? You think he would
I-
have?
No, I said I don't think he would have.
No,
I don't think he was.
would've either.
I don't think he was
would've just
capable of
cranked
making
shit out
mid.
until he died.
Yeah, everything he made was incredible. So I
It
just
was
don't
so
believe
good.
that it was like even Yuasa. Like I'm not speaking ill of him. Has made some things
man,
that are less
Japan
Made
good.
some
stinks.
errors.
Yeah.
Japan stinks 2020.
Yeah.
But no, I think Cohen would have done it. But hey, he's got a perfect catalog as it is now. Not that that's a good
He
thing.
does have a pretty
necessarily.
good catalog.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paranoia Agent is great. I feel like a lot of people watch Paranoia Agent on TV because I think it was on like Toonami or Adult Swim or something.
Yeah, I think it was.
And a lot of people were just like, especially a lot of people that like just saw it in the syndication or whatever and like caught one episode and they're like, huh, that's weird. But I think it's a fantastic show. It's a show you can watch and watch and watch, and you can keep thinking about it, and you can keep like enjoying aspects of individual episodes, overarching aspects across the whole series. I think it's a great series. Just it's smart, you know?
Yeah, brain show.
It's a brain show. Simple as. And number 1 on my top 10 brain shows, brain anime, is a little something that me and Wade discovered last year. It's Sunny Boy.
Oh, fuck yes.
The most
The most.
brain show. Because
It's up there.
this show does not hold your hand. This show does not expect you to, like get everything right away. It doesn't have to explain everything to you. It's not even like thematically that complex, but I feel like the show just treats you with such an overwhelming amount of respect for the viewer's intelligence that it has to be at the top of my list here, because it in no way treats you like an idiot. It
Yes.
it treats you as though you are paying attention and you have to be paying attention. And I think there's so few shows that do that to the extent that Sunny Boy did it. You know, there like I didn't even think about it until afterwards, but I, was reading like an article about it, and they mention a big factor of the show is that there's no internal monologue scenes.
No.
It's just like, showing. Oh yeah, it's all they're all just like it's like show don't tell. It's just characters talking to each other. The animation, the character acting, like how you have to look at it. Like they're not gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell you more than they have to. And I just think that it executed it perfectly. I from start to finish, I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I have to put that at the top of my top 10 brain anime. So if you take somebody who maybe they're like maybe they're interested in learning more about anime and like developing themselves as an anime watcher, and you give them these 10 in this order, I think by the time they get to Sunny Boy, they'll get it. I think they'll understand.
I hope so.
And then after that, you can give them the fucker's challenge and give them the dealer's choice of Serial Experiments Lane.
I was going to say Lane
or
is missing
Yurikuma Arashi.
Oh, yeah. That's such a wildly that's like the card with like the good house and the evil house.
That's the Joker's trick.
That's so fucking funny to put those two against each other.
Well, no, those are the final two challenges of like weird anime. Nah, that's not true. I feel like Lane isn't that weird. It just is like
Lane
obtuse on purpose.
It's obtuse. Yeah, it's complex.
I would describe Lane as dense.
I need to rewatch it. I've only seen it the one time. I watched it for the first time a year or two ago.
It is crazy that they predicted how people would use computers like right when computers came out.
So
it's
insane.
Nuts. And then the dude who predicted that went on to start writing Digimon films about how cancel culture sucks.
Oh,
it's just such a turnaround for that guy.
Insane.
Truly. What a way for your career to end up.
Yeah. I consider myself a brain anime enjoyer, and I try to think critically about shows, and even I struggled a little bit with Lane. So it's up there as well.
I think Yams is probably the safest in the wheelhouse of man, I hate when people use this term, but I mean, I guess it encapsulates the whole genre the best, but art house type shows. I think that's Yams' domain. I am still you can still put a shonen in front of me and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. He just hit him with the sword in the craziest way. I can't believe that just happened on my screen.
Yeah. You and me are the same.
But I'm also, inside of you there are two wolves, and the second wolf is just damn, this is a insanely well-crafted piece of art.
I guess we're more like a sliding scale, because I'm like the art house guy in my group. Well, sort of. I like a lot of the same art house shows that Yams likes. But I also fucking pop off at shonen shit and love Trigger. And
no, I pop off at shonen shit too.
Yeah,
I'm a Trigger fan. Yams hates me.
I don't hate Trigger. I just think
Trigger's so
mad.
good.
He's like, ooh.
What becoming elevated and getting to the next level is realizing that most Trigger anime are brain anime and can be art house too in their own way.
I refuse to believe that Promare is smart even on accident.
It's not.
Promare is not it's not smart. Promare is a spectacle fest, and that's what makes it good. I still think it's competently written as a film, but it's not incredibly deep or anything.
I mean, I can appreciate Trigger, but I still think that
he thinks it's not puff on that gas.
Wait. Have y'all seen the SSS shows, Gridman and Dynazenon?
No, I thought those were
No. Those are brain anime. SSS really? Gridman is yes. Gridman is hardcore art house brain anime. I am not kidding. It's Dynazenon is a little bit more
That's
gets-
crazy because I remember when that show came out, all that anyone was talking about was how crazy that one bitch's thighs were.
Yeah, no, that is my favorite example of popularity of characters having absolutely fucking nothing to do with the show itself. Those two girls sold so much fucking like merch and figures and like art, and that is like they're important characters in the show. One of the girls is the villain, the main villain, but that's not what that show's about. It gets weird. It gets really weird in the back half.
Okay.
Maybe I'll have to give it another.
I
look
really
soon.
like both of them. Dynazenon is like Gridman is great, and it does a lot of really interesting, kind of weird shit in the back half. And then the conclusion is really, I think, really cool. It kind of twists on you in a way that you don't expect. But I like Dynazenon more because it is more hype. Just straight up, it has the robots do the Power Rangers thing where they combine into bigger
that is
robots.
hype.
Oh my god, my dude, it's so good. It's like, and they changed the name, or maybe that was more of a Transformers thing. I can't remember who did that first, but oh my god, if you like pointing at your screen and being like the two robots became a bigger robot together, then you'll like Dynazenon.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds. That sounds chill.
I will clarify that I think I've matured, and I wouldn't describe myself as a trigger hater, but I will describe myself as a trigger skeptic, and especially a Hiroyuki Imaishi skeptic.
I'm a little bit of an
Imaishi-
Imaishi skeptic myself.
Nah,
I
I
won't
think
lie
he's
to you.
goated.
He's good,
goated.
but I also do think he's made the same show a few too many times at this point.
Hey, if it ain't broke.
I will say
guess,
that I
man.
still think that Gurren Lagann is better than anything Trigger has produced.
Ooh.
Like,
I think-
significantly better.
Oh, that's really hard. I think that's actually tough. I'm trying to think if I agree with that. Kill la Kill is close, but I think my own personal enjoyment of Lagann is a little bit better. And then I really like Little Witch, but that's not Imaishi, so I don't know if I want to count that in the conversation.
It's not Imaishi.
So that's probably true, but also like everything that's in the category. I don't know, maybe Cyberpunk will be great. I don't know. None of us have finished.
When
it
we
yet,
finish Cyberpunk, we'll know.
we have to.
We'll come back.
Because currently my take is the best thing Imaishi has ever made at Studio Trigger is Space Patrol Luluko.
That's a totally valid take.
It's a valid
for the
take.
record.
I
Yeah,
won't
that's
front.
like yeah,
I love Luluko.
it is really good.
See, I'm not a hater.
It's got a banger.
I like
It's got
Luluko.
a banger ED. By Bonjour Suzuki and
Well,
Teddy Lloyd.
Yeah.
Imaishi also really hasn't made very much at Trigger, like in the past
Yeah,
decade.
he
You know what I
really
mean? Like
hasn't.
he did Kill la Kill, he did Luluko, and then nothing, and then Promare, and now he's
Yeah.
doing Edge Runners. So which is fine. Like they made a lot of really good shows in between that as well, with different like groups. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
think
gotta
we
call
wrap
it
her.
here.
Yeah, I think
dude,
we
it's-
have
this
to.
one's
been
this one's
so long.
There's
gargantuan.
absolutely no way we can keep this one going any longer.
All right, we'll catch you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Catch you next time. Maybe have more brevity.
Yeah.
Just end it.